In the interest of time efficiency and ensuring that everyone who wishes to address the council is given the opportunity to do so, the following will apply to all comments made to the public, or made by the public. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes to address the council, unless such time is extended by the mayor or by questions from council. Groups shall designate a spokesperson to avoid repetition of comments. Every effort will be made to avoid interrupting speakers. Thank you for participating in your city government. And we call this meeting to order. And give me 1 moment, please. I had pulled my notes to the back. All right, first I'd like to ask everyone please stand and for the invocation by Father Derek Saldana from the St. Thomas Aquinas Catholic Church.
I invite us to please bow our heads as we seek the Lord's blessing. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks and praise for the gift of life, for the gift of family and community. And in a special way today, we thank you for the gift of our city of St. Cloud. We invoke your blessing on the leadership of our city, on the elected officials and those who serve this wonderful city. Fill them with the gifts of wisdom and understanding, the gifts of right judgment, that they may discharge their duties to serve the common good and enhance the dignity of every human person. We ask you to bless this meeting. May our deliberations convey a message of mutual respect and a love for all humanity. We ask this in your most precious name. Amen.
Now I'd like to ask everyone to join me in a moment of silence of 49 seconds in remembrance of the victims of the Pulse nightclub shooting. All right, thank you. And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Robertson?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher?
Here.
Councilmember Paul?
Here.
Councilmember Urban?
Here.
Councilmember Gilbert?
Here. All right, and do we have an agenda update, City Manager?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We'd like to remove presentation number 1, and I'd like to ask that council action item number 1 be heard with public hearing number 1. And that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, and next we have presentations. And first we have the Employee of the Month, Angel Lopez Ramos. He's not here this evening, but we want to go ahead and congratulate him for receiving Employee of the Month. And yes, we can go ahead and clap for Angel. All right, and next we have a recognition of Aralua. Did I pronounce that right? Afolabi, he was the Civic Bee winner. So I'm going to come on down there, Aralua. want to go ahead and ask Mr. John Newstreet to join us up here from the Osceola Chamber. He is the president over there at the Osceola Chamber. Go ahead and let him speak about the civic contest.
Thank you, Mayor. John Newstreet, President and CEO of the Osceola Chamber. We were proud to host the National Civics Bee here in Osceola County in partnership with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. The National Civics Bee is an annual competition that inspires young Americans to engage in civics and contribute to their communities. Very important. It's been hosted in other states the last 2 years. This is the first time it was held in Florida. There were 3 locations. Ours attracted many students from out of area. So this is the first year it's been in Florida. They hope to have it in all 50 states by our 250th celebration of the United States. So we are well on our way to have it as a national competition. There's an essay round each fall for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, in which case our winner, our Alua, came out as one of 20 finalists that competed in the Civics Bee. At the Civics Bee, 20 students answered first round of 20 questions, multiple choice, a second, which were hard, a second round of 20 questions, multiple choice, which were harder. I think I got 3 of them right out of 20. And then a final round, the top 5 of those, after a scoring rubric, 5 of them went into an essay round with judges. So one of our local circuit judges was one of those judges. And so our Lua had filled out 3 essays to get into that final Civics Bee, and then won our competition and $500 cash, right? So, so the top 3 finalists, so we'll do this each year, hopefully. That's the plan. So if you have a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade student, it's open to all students, not just public school students, but private school, home charter, home school. So in the fall, there will be an essay competition. In the spring, there'll be this final for those 20 finalists from the essay competition. Cash prizes. Arlua went up to Tallahassee as one of our 3 finalists, finished 4th there. He was leading round 1, leading round 2, and then came up just short there in the final round, but represented us well. Again, we hosted folks from out of area. Arlua is a homegrown boy here, so we were so proud a local won our competition and represented us well. So congratulations. Thank you, Mayor.
Good afternoon, everybody. My essay for the National Civics Bee was about rapid urbanization because I noticed that in our community there was a lot of new residential buildings and a lot more new developments. And so I thought that rapid urbanization was a very big problem here. And I thought that I needed to go to the city council, which I have right now, and solve this issue because this is going to become a way bigger issue very soon. So that's what I wanted to talk about today.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and read this. So we have a certificate for Arlua in recognition of winning first place at the local competition of the National Civics Bee hosted by the Osceola Chamber on April 25th, 2025. And I present this on the 12th day of June, 2025. Can we get the family up? Y'all come on up. John, would you like to come up here as well? Look at this family, they're all dressed. Yeah. Kicking off his campaign. That's right. Free PR, huh? All right, and next we have a presentation by Leanne Tomeno regarding the floodplain management.
Evening, Council, Mayor, Leanne Tomeno, Floodplain Manager with the City of St. Cloud. Being at the beginning of storm season, I think it's timely to share our annual floodplain management update with you and the public today. Our main purpose, let me advance the slides here. Here we go. Our main purpose is to protect life and property from the effects of flood damage. And our efforts are proactive, and we have many mitigation actions in place. St. Cloud is an active participant in the National Flood Insurance Program. This qualifies residents and business owners for flood insurance, and it sets minimum standards for the built environment in our flood-prone areas. This map is a snapshot of the city's flood map. It's available to the public on our website. Approximately 4,900 acres, or 24% of the city, is located in the floodplain, and a total of nearly 1,800 buildings. Much of the undeveloped land in the city and within the joint planning area also falls within the floodplain. It's our goal to make St. Cloud as resilient as possible from flood damage. And while we do follow and enforce the minimum standards of the National Flood Insurance Program, we voluntarily participate in the community rating system to implement higher standards. Michelle Acosta is our community rating system coordinator. She's going to give you some of the benefits that this program has for our community.
Thank you, Leanne. Good evening. Like she said, Michelle Acosta, City of St. Cloud CRS Coordinator with the Building Department. So as she mentioned, the city participates in the Community Rating System, also known as the CRS. You'll hear that abbreviation a lot. And it's a voluntary program that rewards communities that enforce higher standards than the minimum federal requirements. Some of the efforts that the city does are implementing higher standards such as higher elevation requirements, more stringent development regulations, obtaining a higher building code grading score, and educating our citizens through outreach events. The city has actually, forward, right? There we go. The city has actually been part of the program since 1993. Some of the benefits are reduced flood insurance costs through earned discounts, which I'll tell you about in just a little. Reduced flood risk to our community, community awareness through outreach events, and protecting our environment. The CRS ranks participating communities on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the highest. On October of 2022, the city became a Class 5 community, and we've been able to maintain that. At a Class 5, city residents qualify for a 25% discount on their flood insurance policies, whether that's mandatory policies or voluntary policies. That's an average citywide annual savings of over $115,000.
Thanks, Michelle, for the update on the program. If the city were interested in moving towards being a Class 4 community, we would actually already be set up for success, with the exception of a citywide watershed master plan, which we plan to begin later this year, and a few other mitigation efforts. We are actually almost there. Out of 1,767 CRS communities nationwide, there's only 24 communities that have a Class 4 rating or better. The Floodplain Management Division has a pretty hefty work plan this year and next year. We've successfully submitted our annual CRS recertification, and our team is currently working to prepare our 5-year audit with FEMA. And we're also updating the city's vulnerability assessment and adaptation action plan for our community resilience. We're also excited for the public launch of our new and improved interactive city flood map this summer. And we also want to make sure that our community members feel comfortable reaching out to us, to our office. We have many resources, map search, and contact info on our city's website. The floodplain management link is right on the homepage. and we are available for any questions. We wanted to provide you with an update today.
All right, thank you, Leanne. Councilmember Gilbert.
Leanne, you gonna say,
Just kidding.
this is so exciting.
I'm sure.
It really is. I mean, you're looking at a large portion of our city has to have flood insurance, so what
Yes.
we've done to mitigate that is awesome. They're looked at 3 areas that we need to talk about to do the open space, watershed, and another, correct?
Yes, sir. There's a few prerequisites that you need to have for the Class 4. If the city is interested in being a Class 4, it's pretty robust, I think. A lot of communities are afraid to do that, but we're pretty much already there. We do need a watershed master plan. We want to make sure that we protect our critical facilities, so we may need to update our land development code or maybe our vulnerability assessment a little bit. But some of these things are minor. I think the watershed master plan is the biggest ticket.
Well, I can't speak for us at council, but I can speak for the citizens. If you can bring us to that next level, I think that would help save money in our flood insurance, and everybody likes saving money. When's the last time they said, oh, your insurance is going down? So at least we have that opportunity. So I thank you for this. I don't know what we need to go to, and I'll talk to the city manager about, but I think we need to look at moving up a step to level 4 as a city. I truly believe we work for the citizens, and it would benefit them. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for what you're going to do to bring us to that next level.
Yes, sir.
I yield back, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, Leanne.
Yes, sir.
Next portion of tonight's meeting is consent agenda. The consent agenda contains items that have been determined to be routine, non-controversial. If anyone in the audience wishes to address a particular item on the consent agenda, now is the opportunity for you to do so. Additionally, if staff or members of the city council wish to speak on a consent item, they have the same opportunity. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So for the consent agenda, we'd like to make a comment on item 10 and also remove item 11 for further discussion and a possibly separate vote.
Yes,
So
sir.
ready for, I don't know if anybody else wanted to remove. So you ready for me to?
Oh, I know. Do y'all have any other items to pull from the consent agenda? Just take your time.
No.
You good? All right, City Attorney.
Thank you. So for item 10 in front of you, you should have a one-page document that shows a last-minute change to this agreement. And we just wanted to make that note for this item. So it has to do with the off-duty rates that would be charged for the summer school programs. This is the interlocal agreement for the SROs with the school board, the county, the sheriff, and city of Kissimmee. The rate is being raised from $79.84 an hour to $81.13 an hour for the summer program only for off-duty. So when you approve this item, we just wanted to make note of that change for the record because that's different than the version that was in your packets. And for item 11, I think it would be best, Mayor, if we could, you could take a motion on the remaining items and then we can take a separate motion on item 11, if that's okay with you.
Okay, can I go ahead and get a motion to approve everything but item 11?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Paul. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Paul?
Aye.
Councilmember Urban?
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher?
Aye.
Mayor Robertson?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
And if I may, Mayor, so with regard to item 11 is the acquisition of property from the Savannah Park Homeowners Association as part of the Rummel Trail project. The city manager and her staff have met a couple of times with the representatives of the Homeowners Association with regard to working out a deal with it. So the board, and this has been a very fluid item, we've been moving through it over the last couple of days, so we apologize for offering some last-minute changes. But in front of you are 2 documents, 2 pages that show the changes to the agreement that is in front of you. tonight, and we'd ask that the city council approve this agreement with those changes. Essentially, it has to do with the maintenance of the fence to be constructed on there. Now, the city will be responsible for a portion of it, mostly just cleaning and maintaining the fence. And then, of course, in the event that, for whatever reason, the fence gets damaged as a result of the city's efforts, then the city would repair the fence. So that's what the changes are. Additionally, because this item has been approved, as we understand it, by the board for the homeowners association, but it does have to go to a vote of the property owners. Because of the urgency for the city to acquire this property to keep this project on task and on schedule, we would ask that the city council, if you're inclined to approve this agreement as presented, that you include that this agreement would stay open as an offer until July 11th, which would give us about 30 days to get this thing, to get the agreement signed. Reality is, in the event that the property owners do not approve this, the city's going to have to pursue the eminent domain proceeding to acquire this property, and we don't want to delay it any longer to keep the project on schedule. So what we're asking for tonight is to approve this item with these changes, and then with the condition that it be presented to the homeowners for approval, and that they approve it by July 11th. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Councilmember Gilbert.
Yes, just one question. You answered the first question, Dan, till the 11th. I know the homeowners have to vote on this, but if they don't, what's our drop dead date before filing eminent domain to get this project? Because there's a lot of funds there, grants that will be lost.
Yeah, we're going to have to move fairly quickly, so we would have to go through the process to as quick as possible. We would envision, if we can't, as you know, the council authorized the process for eminent domain several months ago. We've been ready to go, just waiting for this negotiations to try to come to their conclusion, and so we would be following, and that would keep us on schedule.
That's the last thing we like to do, but thank you, just to know a drop dead date. Thank you. I yield back.
All right, and can I get a motion on consent item number 11?
Motion approved.
Motion approved. Councilmember Gilbert.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Urban. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right. And now we have the citizens forum. Any person who desires to comment on any item not on this agenda is provided this opportunity to address the city council. Each person is requested to complete a sign-in form to be provided to the presiding officer prior to or as soon as practical thereafter the person addresses the council. And let me go ahead and see what forms we have here. Just give me 1 minute, please. One more. Gotcha. Okay. Come on now. Sorry, these touchpads are a little tricky. All right, well, we'll go ahead and start. First up, we have Brandon Miller. And your name and address for the record, please.
Again, Brandon Miller from Lumos Fiber. While we don't have an address yet, once we finish installation, we'll be sure to update the citizens with an address. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, and St. Cloud citizens. I'm here with me tonight with Marlon Brown, Brian Whaley, and Brent Beal. We are here tonight on behalf of Lumos Fiber. Lumos is a 100% fiber-to-the-home internet provider based out of North Carolina. This past February, we announced our entry into St. Cloud, Osceola, and 5 other markets around Florida, with a goal of giving 500,000 homes a better internet option. We wanted to take this opportunity to publicly introduce ourselves, to give residents a face to the name of the company building just outside of your homes. We understand no one likes construction, but we found early and consistent communication gives everyone a bit more comfort. In that spirit, you always find letters, lawn darts, and door hangers before we move one piece of dirt. Those pieces of information contain a contact phone number and email for concerns and complaints. That, I'm happy to report, as of last week, show no open tickets. Activity just outside of your home, within the public right-of-way or easement, will consist of boring, cable splicing, and installing handholds flush with the ground. No more ugly green pedestals that have to be covered up with a flower bed. As we complete construction and move to different areas within the city, you'll be able to sign up for T-Mobile's newest fiber product, T-Fiber. Yes, as of June 4th, last week, Lumos Fiber builds and manages the network with T-Mobile as the sole partner responsible for signing up customers. We will be the only fiber-to-the-home internet provider in St. Cloud where customers will be able to bundle their fiber internet and mobile lines. T-Fiber currently has incredible promotions for new signups, including their Fiber Founders Club. You may be wondering why we're building in St. Cloud. The answer is twofold. The first is growth. St. Cloud is not just growing in population, but in industry. Even in traditional Florida industries like agriculture and healthcare, the market is innovating these industries at a phenomenal rate. This leads to part two. The technology demands of tomorrow will require access to fiber internet. Today, if your home has 20 devices connected to Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, that number will double by the end of the decade. We're future-proofing the internet so that once we put it in the ground, it's there forever. Thank you for your time. We would love the chance to sit down with you individually and show you area by area where we're going. We leave tomorrow late morning, but I'll be back in town for next month's Osceola Chamber's legislative update, St. Cloud Chamber baseball lunch, and the baseball lunch. I'll be the one wearing the New York Mets jersey. Thank you so much for the time, and I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brandon. Next up, Lizbeth Walker.
Hi, my name is Lizbeth Walker. I'm the CEO of Qualified Staffing and Consulting. Thank you all for your time, Mayor, Council members, and also neighbors. We specialize in high-tech HR and administrative roles. Our industry partners, or excuse me, clients have been in transportation, federal, and also local government. And so what I'd like to do is actually offer our services. What we're seeing in St. Cloud is citizens don't know where to start. Looking for jobs, we see several corporations and companies having several jobs that are open but don't have the bandwidth to fill them. So we just want to make it known publicly that we're here to serve. We have over 305 workers on payroll. The reason that we're qualified to actually serve your staff, any departments, and also corporations is because we've already been through those same problems that other corporations have, especially having a lot of corporations being attracted to come to Kissimmee and build here. We want to be that premier staffing company that can help serve them, and also in conjunction with your mission-critical workforce needs, we are here to serve. So again, Lizbeth Walker with Qualified Staffing and Consulting. If there are any concerns or questions, I'm open for those, and I appreciate the time to serve alongside you all. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. All right, and before we move on, I'm going to go ahead and read a statement here. As we get through some of these public speaking comments, I'm going to just ask that we all be courteous and respectful of all speakers. Please refrain from shouting out comments, applauding, or making other outbursts that may interrupt the proceedings or discourage other citizens from addressing the council. First up, we have Don Gray.
Good evening. My name's Don Gray. I live at 409 Florida Avenue. I want to thank the council for giving us the opportunity to address you. It's, again, about this gay pride thing that's being held out at the ranch. For those of you who claim to know Christ as your Savior, or at least acknowledge the fact that there is a God, He's a holy God. And this is what He has to say, and this is very important. Excuse me. What I want to do, first of all, when you had the priest come up and ask for God's blessing, you're asking a holy God to watch over this proceeding. and then you're giving him the actual right to judge what is being said. So what I'd like to let you hear is, the reverent and worshipful fear of the Lord is the beginning and the chief and choice part of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is insight and understanding. When I look at the advertisement for this gay event, it's called family friendly. There is nothing family friendly about people who have a sexual perversion. They're not a race. I celebrate Black History Month. I celebrate what's being taken place at Juneteenth. I think that's great, because what it does is it celebrates a race of people that were enslaved and what was done, lives that were laid down, careers that were lost because they fought for something that was right. The LGBTQ is not a race of people. They are just simply people who have an alternate lifestyle and they have a perversion sexual preference. That's all. That's all it is. And if you don't understand, Leviticus 18:22 says, "You shall not lie with a man as with a woman. It is an abomination to God." In Romans 1:26, it says, "For this reason God gave them over and abandoned them to vile affection and degrading passion. For their women exchanged their natural function for an unnatural and abnormal one." And then the last time I was here, I read everybody the gay pride song that was sung by the gay choir in San Francisco. They said that they were coming after our kids. And God's word says, if you allow a child to be hurt, God says, woe be unto you. And this is what I want to say to you who call yourselves Christians. I know there's a pastor on this committee. If I were you, I would stand up and walk out on this commission if you would, if you endorse this. And by your silence, you are endorsing this. And you will have to answer to God Almighty for harming children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Pat Erber.
Good evening, Mayor and council members and residents of St. Cloud. My name is Pat Erber. I live at 136 Louisiana Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida. I came with a couple issues this evening. One about the flooding on my street, which is unreal, and the standing water in the back of about 7 homes behind me on Montana. Excuse me. During the last hurricane, we had flooding water on my street, and the water came up through my shower. It was like $26,000. I'm a widow, and I didn't have insurance to cover that. And I think something needs to be done. We had engineers come out a couple years ago, and my understanding, behind my home, there was a right-of-way. And they said they could not find any history of that for years prior, but there was. And I just wonder, is there anything we can do about the standing water? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like a pool in my backyard, about 7 homes. Plus, my street is where everyone goes down to the little house on the lakefront to start walking 6 o'clock in the morning. The speed limit is 25 miles an hour. If they don't go 50, it's unreal. Now, school is out. We have the playground there. It's ridiculous. I mean, somebody's going to get hurt. That's the issues that I have, and I hope someone will address them.
Yes, ma'am. City Manager, are you familiar with that area? Have there been any complaints in the Louisiana?
I haven't heard anything recently, but I'll have our Public Works Director and our engineering staff see what they can
I
do.
didn't hear her.
Yeah, she's going to look into it, the City Manager.
Okay, thank you so much.
We have your address,
Yes,
136 Louisiana,
thank you.
so we'll go ahead and take a look at that for you.
Thank you
And the
so
police
much.
chief just heard your speeding concerns.
Yep. Next, we have Mary Tumbleson.
My name is Mary Tumbleson. I've been my address,
Yes, ma'am.
3125 Best Road, St. Cloud.
Thank you.
I'm an Osceola County educator for 33 years. Thank you all for taking on these roles of selfless dedication. I'd like to proclaim my commitment to never forget these people murdered in a terrorist act for just being. I would like to ask, well, I was going to have you guys participate. I have some crosses. But I'm going to read the names of the 49 victims of the Pulse nightclub massacre. Edward Sotomayor, Stanley Almodovar, Louis Capco, Juan Guerrero, Louis Vielma, Eric Rivera, Peter Cruz, Kimberly Morris, Eddie Justice, Daryl Burt, DeConta Drayton, D'Alejandro Martinez, Anthony Disla, Jean Perez, Frankie Velasquez, Amanda Alvear, Martin Torres, Luis Leon, Mercedes Flores, Xavier Rosado, Enrique Rios, Gilberto Menendez, Simon Fernandez, Oscar Montero, Miguel Honoracio, Javier Reyes, Jonathan Vega, Joel Paniguara, Jason Josephat, Corey Connell, Juan Velasquez, Louis Condo, Shane Tomlinson, Juan Martinez, Gerald Wright, Leroy Fernandez, Teven Crosby, Sean Rodriguez, Rodolfo Alea, Brenda McCool, Yalimari Sullivan, Christopher Leonman, Angel Pardro, Frank Hernandez, Paul Henry, Antonio Brown, Christopher Santafeltz, Ariaka Murray, Geraldo Jimenez. May they rest in peace in a place of only love.
All right, thank you, Mary. Next, we have Chris Gillespie. Hi, how are you?
Good evening, City Council, Mayor, and to the citizens of St. Cloud.
Name and address for the record, please, Chris.
Sorry.
That's
4794 Rummel Road. Speaking to you today on a recent meeting that you guys had that was behind closed doors and not to the public. It was released to me with audio to let me know what happened during that meeting, but there was a moratorium to prevent any new proclamations and new rules to be made. And not all members were there at that time, and I heard that on the video, on the audio. Was very upset to hear some people that I voted for on this council who was also in support of me. Also was very upset to hear that having a proclamation for gay pride for the month of St. Cloud was comparing me to a Sandhill Crane Day. We, in the LGBT community, should show love and never hate and accept each other for our differences. This past Friday, the love of my life was beaten and drowned in a pool in the Bahamas. He was never accepted for who he was. We need leadership who will support and protect this community, just like we should have had leadership in the Bahamas to protect my other half. I love this community and each one of you. I'm your ally. Are you ours? Thank you.
Mr. Gillespie, I will correct you on one thing. There were no decisions made behind closed doors. There were no meetings behind closed doors. Everything's been out in the open.
But there was a
all
vote
meetings.
taken actually with one member not there, so I just wondered why.
Well, there
that
wasn't a vote, but there was consensus, but it was open to the public, sir.
happened. Okay, I respect that. Thank you, Mr. Robertson.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chris. Next up, we have Roxanne Perret. Is it Perret? Perret? Perret?
It's Perret. I'm from France.
Perret.
Good evening. My name is Roxanne Perret, and I'm here on behalf of Equality Florida, the state's largest civil rights advocacy organization dedicated to securing full equality for LGBTQ Floridians. 9 years ago today, a gunman walked into the Pulse LGBTQ+ nightclub, killing 49 innocent people and injuring countless others. On this day, 9 years ago, innocent lives were lost and Central Florida was changed forever. As the years have passed, many LGBTQIA+ people have moved to Central Florida for its inclusive environment and dedication to continuing to support the community after this tragedy. Equality Florida strongly supports Deputy Mayor Fletcher's proposal to recognize Pride Month through the adoption of an official proclamation and urges this council to lift its moratorium in time to deliver a powerful and necessary message this June. That in St. Cloud, everyone is welcome, valued, and respected, including the LGBTQ+ community. A Pride Month proclamation in St. Cloud would help foster a community of empathy and understanding. Today, LGBTQ people in Florida continue to be under attack, living with more anti-LGBTQ laws than any other state. Now more than ever, it is crucial for cities, municipalities, and communities to stand loudly in support of the LGBTQ+ Floridians when the state government does not. LGBTQ+ residents are taxpayers, business owners, educators, veterans, and public servants. And a Pride Month proclamation would send a clear message to them that they are seen, valued, and respected in their neighborhoods and communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Roxanne. Next, we have Carl Robinson.
Good afternoon, council members. Always nice to talk to you. First of all, thank you for the wonderful Memorial Day operation you had over at the cemetery.
Yes, sir. Can we get your name and address for the
I'm
record?
sorry, Carl Robinson, 8th Virginia.
Thank you, sir.
Great job. Loved it.
Thank you.
I saw a lot of you guys there, and I appreciated it. I also see a lot of you guys on the walking path. So that's what I came to talk about. The path over there has got great stuff, pavilions, barbecue grills, ice cream shops, splash pads, and it's designed to draw a lot of people in. Good job. It did. 10 years ago when it was designed, e-bikes were not a thing. They are now. So, Councilmember Paul's already heard my talk. My granddaughter straightened me out, so I've cut it down a lot, so it's going to be way better. So it was Saturday before Mother's Day. I'm out there for my walk, and some little kids in a little plastic toy car, and about got taken out by some guy on an e-bike going about 25 miles an hour. The next day, Mother's Day, I'm out there. 2 adorable little girls are playing next to Dad, who's cooking hamburgers and hot dogs, and they about got taken out on some guy on an e-bike. I mentioned to this individual I'd appreciated him slowing down. He didn't respond well. So I called 911. The police department showed up, talked to this guy for about 5 seconds, and off he went. So I says to the officer, I said, are they allowed to have these here? And she says, well, as long as he's being operated in a safe manner, yes. I said, well, it's definitely not a safe manner. She said, but I didn't see it. That tells me the police department doesn't have the horsepower to enforce safety on the path. I'm asking the council to come up with 2 signs. No motorized vehicles, gasoline, electric, flux capacitor, whatever, between, and I propose Michigan and Massachusetts. Failure to do so is going to get some kid hurt or killed. Lieutenant Dan and Captain Morgan's going to be down here looking for millions of dollars. I'd much rather spend my tax dollars on continuing beautification of the city and not have some hurt kid. Does that make any sense to you guys? Do you like the idea? I mean,
Yeah, Carl, I think currently we do have an ordinance that we just passed a few months back. Dan, would you like to
That's
explain the
correct.
ordinance?
So there is an ordinance that limits e-bikes at the trail, which was just recently passed. But if there's signage, that would be up to the council and the city manager about whether signage would be appropriate.
Okay. Yeah, how fast do you think these guys were going?
I was going through my trauma assessments in my head and figuring out places to land helicopters. That's how fast they were going. I'd put it at 15 to 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, and I think the ordinance.
Yeah, the ordinance works based on classifications of the bikes. Each one of these e-bikes that are being manufactured now and sold they have certain classifications on them, and so the lowest level classification, which I don't want to give the wrong number.
You get more time, sorry.
I think it was 15. I'm looking at the chief. 15 miles an hour. Was that what it was? So they're not supposed to exceed 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's still a little fast on a
I know,
walking
but
path.
we have to operate within the confines of the statute, and the state statutes related to the classification for e-bikes, because they are a newer type of mode of transportation that a lot of people are using, so, but the speed limit, it sounds like, if this bike was going as fast as this gentleman says, that would have been
Sir, he was
against
flying.
that
He
would be
was
against
flying.
the city's new ordinance.
Okay. What does the ordinance say, 15 or less, or is that?
It classifies them as certain bikes, and each
Okay.
bike has a special classification on it, so the premise behind it is that if the bike, whoever the enforcement officer, whether it's a police officer or code enforcement, stops the individual on the bike, if the bike has one of the classifications that's prohibited by an ordinance, it really doesn't matter how fast they're going, it's that bike is not supposed to be on the trail.
Okay.
Well,
What do y'all-
nothing west of Massachusetts really goes on, and nothing really east of Michigan happens. I'm just asking for that area where there's a lot of people, kids and bikes and dogs and stuff.
Is there a way to limit it to certain areas?
Well,
But then they'd
it's for
have
the
to-
whole, it's for basically the whole recreational, all the recreational trails within the city, that's what the ordinance applies to. I would suggest to you, Mayor and Council, that this is a new ordinance that was in place. With new ordinances, there's usually a sort of a quote-unquote break-in period before enforcement can really move up, and I think the police chief is well aware of this. We've talked to code enforcement about it, they're well aware of it, and so we would expect that the enforcement would get a little bit more proactive as we move forward on this.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We're definitely
Thank
going to be
you.
looking at that, Carl. Please stay in touch with us on this.
Yes, sir.
All
Well,
right. Thank you. Next up, we have Stan King.
My name's Stan King. I live at 804 Hemlock Street. Been a sportsman all my life, hunting and fishing since I was 6 and 8 years old. 1937, federal government passed the Pittman-Robertson Act, put a 10% excise tax on all things gun, ammo, and archery equipment. In 1950, they passed the Dingell-Johnson Act, put another 10 to 11% on anything fishing. It's right in the cost. When you buy that hook, when you buy that line, you buy that stinky cheese bait, 10% of that the manufacturer has already sent to the federal government. It's a hidden excise tax. Now let's fast forward to 2025. 2025, the city of St. Cloud decided to annex some land. They got the park over here, Chisholm Park, boondoggle, hasn't had any maintenance since 30 years, according to Chris Robertson. Hasn't had any maintenance in 30 years, so now they need $1.4 million to get it updated. And again, who are they going to throw the excise tax on? Well, it's going to be on the sportsmen. They're going to call it a boat launch fee. They're going to call it a parking fee. They're going to charge us $35 a year for a sticker for our windshield. Money don't mean nothing. That's fine and dandy. $6 a launch. Good. But nobody else pays that excise tax. The joggers don't pay excise tax on their jogging shoes.
Sir, you need to address the council, please.
The bikers down there don't pay excise tax on their bicycles. The picnickers don't have a credit card swiper there on the picnic table. Only the sportsmen. Only the sportsmen. It's a fairness thing. It ain't about the money. I got more money than Peru. Okay? I ain't worried. It's a fairness thing. If I have to pay, the picnickers got to pay to park, the joggers got to pay to park, the dog walkers got to pay to park. The people bringing their kids, they bring their kids down to the beach. Who paid to have that lake scraped 4 years ago? To make sure that we had good sandy bottom and that the fish could be healthy, and that the water would be well aerated so it had a flow through there. The hunters and the fishermen. I spent $2,012 so far this year on hunting licenses, to include 282 right here in this state. I'm 78 years old.
You can finish up.
Anyways.
It's fine.
Wrapping up, that's all I gotta say is, it's totally unfair to only charge the sportsmen. You're not charging the picnickers, you're not charging the hikers, you're not
Oh,
charging the
Stan,
baby
Stan,
buggy
you gotta
buys,
stay up
nobody
here.
else. So I'm
All
out
right.
here,
All right.
and if you
Thank you.
guys can live with
Thank you,
yourselves
Stan.
with that, I can too. Have a nice evening and a nice life. Well, it's the truth, thank you. Everybody should pay their fair share.
All right, Stan, thank you, sir.
Y'all have a good evening now.
All right, next up, we have Cheryl Grebe.
Thank you, Mayor Commissioner. Cheryl Grebe, 612 Lakeshore Boulevard. Today marks the 9th anniversary of the Pulse nightclub massacre. At the time, it was the deadliest mass shooting in the U.S. history. 49 lives were taken and dozens of others were injured. All who were there that night were forever changed. I want to thank your police chief, Gerke, for his assistance that night. After the event, I personally met with several families that lost loved ones, and I also visited with several of the injured, all of whom lived, worked, or had family here in Osceola County. And yes, St. Cloud residents and families were affected as well. As you are aware, June is Pride Month. Pride is rooted in the historical events of the Stonewall riots and the fight for LGBT+ rights. The Stonewall riots and demonstrations were a result of a police raid in New York on the Stonewall Inn, a gay bar, possibly one like Pulse. However, that raid was 56 years ago in 1969, when homosexuality was considered a criminal offense. Back then and still today, gay bars were considered safe spaces by the LGBTQ+ community. Pulse changed that for many. In essence, Pride Month is a celebration of the LGBTQ+ community's history, resilience, and ongoing struggle for equality and the fight for LGBT+ rights. While we have made much progress since the days of Stonewall, unfortunately, discrimination still exists. Currently, the ACLU is tracking 588 anti-LGBT bills in the U.S. In Florida, did you know, prior to 2010, it was illegal for gay couples to adopt children, and it wasn't until 2015 that same-sex couples could legally marry and have the same benefits offered to other married couples. This is one of the reasons, as a city commissioner in 2010, during my reelection campaign, I pushed for domestic partner benefits to be added to our policies so that our employees could add their significant other to their insurance policy. I'm here to thank the City of St. Cloud for also adopting domestic partner benefits in 2012. St. Cloud is also part of the Human Rights Ordinance enacted in 2015, which aims to ensure equal access to services, facilities, accommodations for all individuals, prohibiting discriminations based on age, race, color, religion, national origin, disability, marital status, sex, sexual orientation, or gender identity and expression. This ordinance applies to public accommodations and extends protections in employment and housing. And I want to thank you for the 2024 Pride Proclamation and the grant this year for the Proud in the Cloud event. I also want to thank Councilmember Jennifer Paul for her proclamation denouncing the city's past reputation as a sundown town. This proclamation reaffirms the city's commitment to embracing diversity and inclusion for all residents. Isn't that what we all want? To be loved and accepted and feel safe? This is what Pride Month is about for our LGBT+ community. We are part of our community. We work in your city hall. We teach your children. We're elected officials. We're on your public safety teams, and we are your neighbors. Thank you so much, and happy Pride.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Sean Cardenas. Sean Cardenas.
Good evening. Sharon Cardenas. I'm at 800 Grape Avenue in St. Cloud, Florida.
I'm sorry, is it Sharon?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
so
okay.
sorry.
I've been called worse.
I'm just blind.
It's okay. I would like to echo Cheryl Grebe's sentiments regarding Pride Month. I would like to thank you for the support you have provided us in the past and the current year. I would ask for your continued support and your allyship.
I know Pride Month can seem like just a series of colors and an acronym, but know that it is much more than that. As a citizen, my wife and I live here. We love it here. We love to support our businesses. We love to support this city. I wish to be an ally of all, and I would ask for that in return. So your support is appreciated, and I look forward to the new proclamation and any edits to that, and then how we can partner on, hopefully, a Pride proclamation in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Next, we have Kevin Parker.
Kevin Parker, 1000 Costa Mesa Lane, Kissimmee, Florida, 34744. Thank you, St. Cloud City Council, for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Kevin Parker, like I mentioned. I am the president of the Osceola County Young Democrats. I also stand before you as a proud gay man. In the early morning of June 12, 2016, our community was rocked by a tragic event that came from a deep hatred of the LGBTQ community. One act of hatred took the lives of 49 people. They were someone's sister, brother, son, daughter, niece, nephew, and so forth and so on. Our community has rebounded and stood strong against nonstop attacks over the past few years from this state's legislature. And we just heard an attack on the community tonight. We've been attacked before I was even born, before my mother was born, back in 1956, as y'all just heard. Our liberation is why we have pride. Pride is not just a fun celebration. It's a testament to our resiliency. Please recognize pride as a testament that despite the constant attacks that we're still here and we're not going anywhere. Please reconsider your memorandum on the Pride Proclamation. Please present it to us and recognize us. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Next, we have Jackie Murray.
Jackie Murray, 221 Burning Tree Drive, Kissimmee. Mayor Chris Robertson and esteemed council members. I'm Jackie Murray again, founder and CEO of Back on Track Employment Services, also known as Back on Track. It is an honor and a privilege to stand before you to present our organization. Back on Track is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to changing lives through employment. We equip and prepare individuals to transition successfully back into the workforce, individuals from all walks of life. Incarcerated, we have one of the largest reentry programs in the Osceola County Jail. Underserved, underemployed, unemployed, low income, newly released incarcerated individuals, and executive skilled professionals who are interested in either a new career or a career. We have served thousands of individuals in Osceola County and surrounding communities who have obtained employment at a living wage. Some of our employers and community partners include Publix, and this is our chairwoman. She'll speak about Publix 24 years in terms of a partnership. Osceola Council on Aging, one of our participants, I have a few with us tonight, George, he's an educator we placed at Haines City High School. Also, when I talk about Publix, I love Publix because they have hired our people at the corporate, retail, and distribution. We have, again, Beatrice, who was just hired at the Parton Village location. We also, Junior Davis Construction, I cannot stop talking about JDC, Junior the Man, but we have two who are also here. Robin operates the roller equipment. And we also have John as well, who operates the roller. I just want to also just point out quickly, Troy. Troy is an executive in his own right. He's been hired at the distribution center of Publix. So, again, just putting people to work from all walks of life. And we'd love to partner with the city of St. Cloud. We also work with the city of Kissimmee. Haven on the Vine, Beatrice is one of the residents. We're so excited about the partnership. And again, we'd love to really partner with the city of St. Cloud. We've actually placed Antoinette Forbes' daughter at Publix, late Nona. We're currently working with Lillian Rosario, HR staffing specialist, so we're hoping to really open that door. Again, we're a nonprofit organization that really is focused on helping individuals get back on track to self-sufficiency. And I'll just let her speak.
Yeah, really quick. You're fine. Yeah.
My name is Latarsha Melvin. I'm Manager of Associate Diversity and Inclusion with Public Supermarkets at the corporate office. And I just want to personally attest to my sentiments that I've had with Back on Track. I've been had a relationship with Back on Track for at least like 12 years. However, that relationship started way before me, like she said, 24 years ago. But I personally see every single month that Publix is able to place clients from Back on Track in the warehouses, in the stores, and at the corporate offices. I see those myself personally. I've been on the recruiting team for 9 years, so it's something that that I'm able to say that she's definitely a great organization to be a part of, and definitely puts out great clients, and we love her to death.
Very cool. All right. Thank you. Can you leave your information? Kelly, can we get her card,
Thank
please?
you. I have a packet,
Yeah,
actually.
perfect. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Jackie. All right, our next section will be public hearings. I'm sorry, anyone else in the audience like to speak during the public comments? Yes, ma'am. I'll let her speak.
Christine Lastrake, Pine Chase Estates. I just want to say that Memorial Day, I wanted to say how proud I was to see so many representatives of our city, be it both ceremonies that State Rep Ms. Paula Stark hosted and the one at Mount Peace, and 4 of our 5 council members and our police chief and a lot of our force were there and to represent our city. And it was absolutely amazing to see how much you guys supported that veteran community and how much that they've given, and the fact that you guys all gave your time that day from morning until the very late evening. I can't appreciate you enough, so thank you.
All right, thank you. Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a couple comments in reference to some of the comments during public comment this evening. I was educated by our teachers and our neighbors about what it means to be part of the St. Cloud community, and I think I know what it means to be St. Cloud proud. Over the past few weeks, I've taken call after call about the proclamation that I presented and was discussed this evening. Some folks who are in support and some others who are not. But really what struck me most is not the calls themselves, but actually what they revealed. It revealed that people are watching and people care. Our community cares. You showed up and you participated in your city government, and I respect that greatly. You care about how we as a community treat one another. You care about how we as a community choose to honor. When we take the time to recognize those who have led, served, sacrificed, and contribute to our community, we make space for others to feel like they belong too. And when people feel like they belong, they invest, they participate, they grow, and we as a community grow with them. I want to say something simple to everybody who's here today and who's watching. Love thy neighbor, and we together should be better at that. So yes, I obviously support the proclamation, and this is how we build a better St. Cloud. We do that by seeing one another, by respecting our history, and by refusing to silence the voices that brought us this far. Harvey Milk said, "Hope will never be silent." Mayor, I would like I think I've kind of come up with a way that we can can, I don't want to necessarily say get past this, but some common ground. Because I think some things got really emotional. Councilmember Urban, I personally apologize to you. There's emotions run high. We are elected to support all the citizens of St. Cloud. I think you truly care about, I think everybody on this council truly cares about every single citizen in this community. And we all have things that are important to all of us. So with that, I would like to add to the agenda tonight, I would like to add an item to the agenda and asking for your support for me in my capacity as the deputy mayor to issue a proclamation that will be presented off-site in recognition of Pride Month for 2025. And I ask for your support tonight.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Yeah, so I was going to wait till later, but since we talked about it and the gentleman had brought it up in the audience, I know how important that people's words are. And I'd like to thank all the participants in public comment, everybody from every public comment we had from the from flooding to the Miss LaDrake over there to the Memorial Day. We are a veteran community, and it's awesome that we participate in it. On May 20th, 2025, there was a council workshop. It was publicly noticed, and it was taped, and it was for the public. During that meeting, the council decided to put a moratorium on 4 proclamations for us to get a better understanding how to fill them out and so on and so forth, and we're working on that. We have not had a meeting on it yet. On May 27th, I read a press release by the deputy mayor that stated these matters should never be decided behind closed doors. There was a gentleman in the audience that had mentioned that these matters were noted behind closed doors. Part of our rules and regulations up here is that we cannot talk to each other that's not publicly noticed. And I want to go on record to say we did not have a meeting behind closed doors. The meeting was open to the public and was invited to everybody in public, including council. That, to me, is a little defamation of my character about having meetings behind closed doors. I'm open to anybody all the time, but that's something I just, if you say it was off jest or said something, one of the audience members quoted our deputy city mayor. So we as council have a public forum, and we reach all the decisions during those public forums. The only thing is, why would you let the truth get in the way of a good story? I yield back.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Paul.
Greetings, Mayor, fellow council members, and members of St. Cloud community. I appreciate the opportunity to address the recent news articles released regarding the temporary pause of all proclamations. My campaign platform last year and my ongoing dedication as a council member is centered around creating a welcoming environment for all residents of St. Cloud. Our progress as a city, sometimes slow and resistant, something I can personally relate to, depends on listening to one another and making space for all to participate in civic life with dignity, fairness, and respect. Following the recent temporary pause of our proclamation, I want to clarify and address some misinformation that has unfortunately spread. The pause was implemented to ensure greater transparency and consistency in the application of this process. Our goal is to establish a clear and consistent process for all applications, guaranteeing fair and impartial consideration for every request. It is inaccurate to suggest that this pause targets any specific group or represents any attempt to reject certain proclamations when all proclamations were paused. Our commitment to inclusivity remains steadfast. This is evidenced by our prior decision brought forward to the council by Deputy Mayor Fletcher to relocate the Proud in the Cloud event from Lakefront to the ranch to accommodate pre-scheduled construction at the lakefront. We all agreed to approve the change of location without any problems. We value all community members, and it is a necessary step to ensure that our policy is fair, transparent, consistent, and reflects the vision of our city. While the proclamation policy is under review, I remain dedicated to a process that honors the richness of St. Cloud. To Deputy Mayor Fletcher, our City Council's strength lies in diversity of thought and experience. Each member brings a unique perspective shaped by their individual background and beliefs. It's crucial that we foster an environment where understanding is prioritized. Attempting to have your colleagues disregard their instilled personal beliefs and family values is unwise for the personal choice you as an American citizen have the right to do as you please in your personal life. Disagreement on certain issues does not equate to personal dislike or animosity. Instead, such disagreements should serve as opportunities for growth and a better understanding of diverse viewpoints. One of my recent experiences, particularly surrounding the January proclamation denouncing the sundown, highlighted the importance of this principle. It was vital to raise awareness and address this important matter that took place in the city of St. Cloud. While there were many pearl-clutching responses on social media saying this is the first time of hearing about it, and my thoughts were, because you never heard of it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Regardless of the backlash received from the public for a few moments, I, Jennifer A. Paul, stood tall by the commitment to sponsor that proclamation with full responsibility, and was even more surprised when a vote took place because I was not familiar with the vote needed to take place on the proclamation. As a council member, I was not elected by 13,893 votes to judge the personal lives of my colleagues, but worked together for the benefit of our community. The beauty of our council lies in our ability to find common ground and collaborate effectively, even among disagreements. Let us strive to maintain a productive working relationship built on a mutual respect and a shared dedication to serving our constituents in the beautiful city of St. Cloud. Let's ensure that all proclamations reflect the St. Cloud community we all cherish and share. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
I just want to respond to Member Gilbert's comment regarding behind closed doors. The meeting was not held in the council chambers. It was held in a conference room, and it was held here. Okay.
You weren't there.
For an issue that you know is important, to have this discussion when I wasn't present, I think just falls short. And I believe that the solution or the recommendation that I had wasn't going out on a limb, and I'm at a loss for words at this point.
Councilmember Paul.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. I thought you had something else to add to that.
No.
And I'm just going to touch on it briefly. I may have some more to say later on, but Deputy Mayor Fletcher, I am disappointed in you. I mean, we all strive to work in the betterment of the community at all times, not for ourselves. And when you go to the media with comments that are not true, when this council, whether through consensus or through a vote, when that is the stance of this council, that is the stance of the city of St. Cloud. And for you to go out and say something contrary to that undermines this council and the city of St. Cloud. So it bothered me. What really bothered me is this man over here, Councilmember Urban, his name was brought out in that. And while he did bring it up about all the proclamations, I had two on here myself. And he had some issues with the way the proclamations were. I agreed to pause those as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't do them. But I just think the way you went about it, you did it all wrong, and it's, I don't think anybody on this council would treat you in that manner. We would not disrespect you in that manner. And we were told that we discriminated against the public. We would not discriminate against you in that manner, that we were discriminated against in the public.
The thing that's really unfortunate is we don't have the ability to speak to one another. We have to operate in the sunshine, in an open forum. We don't know what other folks are saying or where stuff is coming from. When there's such an important issue, something that has been going on for several years, to completely pause something we have no idea when it's coming back, what the changes are of it. And then at the last meeting, after listening to the audio, I said, I reviewed the audio, and the only thing that was mentioned was we would like to have a vote 30 days prior to the proclamation being issued, which I asked about prior to that, or I had asked about at that meeting. Can we, it's 30 days prior, ask for a vote on it. I know we can, the three of us up here can we set the rules for ourselves. So knowing that and letting one move forward based on what I heard from the audio, because I wasn't present, I thought would have been fine. And I was met with silence. So there is underlying frustration with that. And as colleagues up here, we work so well together. And this is disheartening that one minor thing, which means so much to so many people, has created this, what I consider a bit of a setback. And that is where my frustration comes from. There's a meeting that I wasn't present at that the pause happened. I requested the audio, got a copy of the audio. The things that were discussed in the audio, I presented at the next meeting so that at this meeting we could have the proclamation, and was met with silence. Not one comment. So if you support it, you have to go on record and say you support it. I'm very frustrated, and I'm just, it's disheartening.
Mayor, I've got some comments.
Yes, sir. Can I respond to him first?
Go ahead. Yep.
Unfortunately, Deputy Mayor Fletcher, you can't let your emotions get the best of you. And no matter what, had you been here, I think the consensus might have turned out the same. I think that, we may not all disagree on how each other vote up here, but we have to accept that and move forward. And we can't make it about us or our personal opinions or whatever agendas, this, that. We can't do that. We don't have that luxury. It's 3 out of 5, the majority wins, and that's the direction of this city. And to say that you just wanted yours and not mine, that doesn't sound too much like inclusion to me. So I have a problem with that. I do take exception, but go ahead, Councilmember Urban.
I disagree with your comments, sir.
Councilmember Urban.
Listen, as somebody who was affected most by the deputy mayor's wildly misrepresentative comments in his press releases, I'll have more to say at the end of the meeting, but we have numerous critical items on tonight's agenda, including funding for public safety, police, fire services, essential infrastructure, and yet rather than that, addressing these pressing priorities, we find ourselves engaged in debates that do not directly impact the responsibilities of our city government. So I prefer to move on and get to our city agenda tonight.
I second that.
All right, let's move on. Anyone else on the audience like to speak?
I thought you closed this.
We closed it? Thank you. Okay. And our next section is public, no, that's not public, yes, public hearings. And Madam Clerk, please read council action number 1.
Final public hearing for ordinance number 2024-49, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, providing a zoning amendment of the zoning map of the Land Development Code of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, specifically changing the zoning designation of approximately plus minus 10.31 acres identified as Thompson Estates, formerly known as Clark Properties, project ZMA 24-0006, from A, agricultural to R1B, single-family dwelling generally located south of Furtick Road and east of Michigan Avenue, providing for the amending of the official future land use map of the comprehensive plan, filing the Planning Commission's recommendations, proof of publication, applicability effect, severability on copies on file, and effective date.
Scott, are you doing the work tonight?
She was watching in the bridge. There's a slight delay. Most of the staff was leaving the seats for the citizens
Thank you.
because we
And so
anticipated so many.
While you're doing that, can you read in council action number 1, too, as the city manager?
Request council's approval of the preliminary subdivision plan for Thompson's Estates, formerly known as Clark Properties, project PSP 24-0005.
Thank you.
Good evening, Melissa.
Good evening, sorry, we were told to
That's okay. Which one was that, Dan, the second one that we just read?
That was the council action number 1.
Number 1, you're right. Thank you. They've both been read into the record, so.
Thank
you're
you.
good to go.
Good evening, Melissa Dunklin, Director of Community Development. This case before you tonight is for the
for the project known as Thomason Estates, formerly known as Clark Property. The existing zoning designation is agricultural. The requested zoning designation is R1B, single-family dwelling, which is consistent with the existing land use of low-density residential. This request is compatible with the surrounding area and will have no adverse impacts on city facilities. Here's a graphic representation of the zoning map depicting the agricultural zoning district for context. On or before July 25th, 2024, staff recommended approval. Planning Commission also recommended approval. Likewise, it is requested that City Council approve ordinance number 2024-49 for the zoning map amendment known as Thomason Estates. Of note, on September 12th, 2024, City Council continued this item to be heard on the same agenda as the preliminary subdivision plan, which I will present next. This is the case for the preliminary subdivision plan for the project known as Thomason Estates. The subject property is located north of Clay Drive, south of Furtick Road, east of Michigan Avenue, and west of South Delaware Avenue. As a reminder, the existing zoning district is agricultural, and the pending request is for a zoning map amendment to approve the R1B single-family residential zoning. The property comprises of 10.31 acres, and the proposed development program includes 30 single-family detached homes with front-loaded garages, and the proposed density is 2.9 dwelling units per acre. The proposed development program, this is a graphic representation of the proposed development program reflecting the 30 lots, and the lot sizes by 120 feet. They are proposing 2.13 acres of open space. On or before May 1st, 2025, staff recommended approval. Likewise, it is requested that council approve PSP 24-00005 for the preliminary subdivision plan for Thomason Estates. At this time, staff and the applicant are available for questions.
All right, would the applicant like to speak on this item?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Mark Stelly, Polson Bennett, 2602 East Livingston Street. We've been working with staff on this for probably over a year now, since we first brought the zoning application in. And so we're here tonight, hopefully to discuss this and get an approval. And if there's any questions or comments, we're more than willing to answer that for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And would anyone in the audience like to speak on this item? And can we please have your name and address for the record, sir?
Yes, sir. My name is Sam Dews, and I live at 531 Michigan Estate Circle.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I don't just represent myself as a neighbor, but also my neighbors within the Homeowners Association of Michigan Estates. This particular proposal for rezoning, we were here just a few short months ago in discussion of the rezoning aspect of this development. And upon an extended duration, talking about drainage, existing drainage issues and continuing traffic problems that happen in this corridor, at length, it was decided to, let's set this aside and maybe we'll revisit this. So at the suggestion of staff, they suggested that we meet with the developer, talk about our concerns, and that maybe we could come to some kind of understanding on how we could maybe come to a resolution on this. We did meet. But staff was not there. Staff did not return to us to ask what was discussed. We came up with a whole list of things that we thought would be helpful, but while in the overall, our concerns still remain. And it's disappointing to see that not only, the mailer I received was only regarding the zoning, the rezoning. It's disappointing to hear that staff continued on to not just discuss the zoning, but also a preliminary subdivision plan. So it's as if our concerns were of no concern to the city. So I'm here on behalf to ask you guys to really consider this again. This road to Michigan is a 2-lane road, but yet it has 3 major schools on it. There's like 7 crosswalks within a 1-mile stretch along this road. It is very busy. So it's interesting that when we first talked about it, it was around October, November last year, right? It was the end of wet season. So all the drainage issues that came up in the city forum kind of exemplified, and it was within our neighborhood, not my neighborhood, but, in the area of Michigan Avenue, talking about how those concerns are valid, and the traffic analysis that went into this was done at a time when there was not much going on due to,
You can finish up, that's fine.
due to like what was going on like 3 years ago. So with that in mind, I just would like to plead with you guys to please, council members and the mayor, please reconsider this, or give us a chance to have some discussion with them about the plan, the PSP, before we get into engineering. But yes, we have major concerns regarding traffic and the stormwater drainage in that area as they exist now, not to mention with more development. And there's another large development that is in construction, and we have yet to really feel the brunt of that because it's not fully 100%. That's it.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you for your
Let me
time.
ask you, so back in October, you said this was brought forward on council?
September.
It was September, so right
Yes.
before I got here, I think.
Yes.
I wasn't familiar with this project. So what are the drainage issues at the corner? Is it the corner of Furtick and Michigan, or where exactly are
Well,
the issues?
There's some open drainage along Michigan that, in that September meeting, there was a neighbor just not far down the road that was bringing up the concern about how the open swales are not getting maintained in a timely fashion, and that it's affecting their septic tank and how it backs up into their house. They're not able to actually function. I believe the record will reflect that was their testimony, not mine. But regarding this property right now, there's surrounding neighbors that have other issues where water's coming onto them from the way it is now without the extra impervious area of a road and 30 additional driveways and roofs. So, not to get into all the engineering details, because I'm sure everybody's super excited about that, but this is kind of at an apex, and it's like at the top end of 2 different like sub-basins within the city. So there's not a lot of places for it to go, and the water kind of has to stand in line, similar to the checkout on, a retail store on Black Friday. It's just there's only it can only go out so quick, and then the water just stacks up and stacks up. So it's more prone to cause an issue due to the fact that it's up at that higher end. So that's why we're talking, we want to mention the drainage, but the traffic is something that everyone experiences, not just this immediate area, but all those in the city that their kids go to those schools. They have to sit in the drop-off line, or they get stuck in traffic just trying to go, from downtown across town. It's very problematic And that happens at multiple times throughout the day because the schools with the staggered start, then there'll be people that get so frustrated with the traffic, they'll just pull off onto Furtick or other areas right there next to, and they just let their kids out there, like, you guys can just walk, we'll pick you up here. And then you have cars that just park and wait.
Yes, sir.
So-
Yeah, I do know there's a lot of traffic issues right there with all those schools kind of coming together at one point there. So, and you said you did meet with the developer. Was there any takeaways on that, or anybody?
We did. We
kind of
had
reach a deal?
We had some suggestions. We talked a lot of it out. We talked about some tweaks to what was then a conceptual plan. But it's my understanding, just looking at that brief sketch that was on the screen, that not only were those concepts not really taken into consideration, but there's even more stuff in there that was not even discussed in the meeting. Okay. Additional driveways, additional like right-of-way development, and there's still the issue of where that road meets Michigan is a major safety problem right now, because in order to actually see down the road, you have to put your car in the middle of the crosswalk. And speaking of electric bikes and kids on electric scooters, they don't know the car's there until they make that turn. So
Yeah, I'm looking at that sidewalk kind of curves into the,
yes, and
that's an awkward.
on a separate note, I have reached out to Public Works just about that as a separate issue. Like, look, I see this as a safety issue, and there are ways to, like, that don't cost a lot of money to adjust that crosswalk that may be helpful for visual for folks that are on the sidewalk headed toward the school, to be able to see a car if you could adjust the stop bar. In the grand scheme, relatively, those would be minor changes, but it would help with the sight lines and make it a lot better of an intersection.
Okay. I know Deputy Mayor Fletcher, you know that area quite well. Have you seen that to be a concern in
I
the
do.
past?
I do, yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, sir, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you for your time.
Anyone else in the audience like to speak on this item? Anybody else? That's a joke, Jerem.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Jerem Furtick, 50 Furtick Road. How y'all doing tonight? Sounds like it was a fun start of the meeting here. So I would like to, I'll just start off and ask for, just a little respect, because in the sense of time, developers get all the time in the world to speak with staff. We get 2 minutes and 50 seconds to talk to you about a concern. So if you ask me a question off the bat, I'll feel a lot better. Do you have any questions, Mayor?
No, but I'll go ahead and let you talk.
Okay.
That's all right.
All right.
Share your concerns.
All right, so concerns are the same as last time. I know you weren't sitting on here, but do y'all remember the concerns from last time that we were here? And y'all told us to go meet with the developer, and we did everything that we were asked to do from staff and as council. And we have no answers back on where our opinion is on any of the suggestions we gave. So I don't know how we can go on and even entertain anything with this plan tonight unless you just represent builders. I don't know how we break down, if you tell us to go off and go meet with them, and they have better insight when they meet with us and go, no, staff even called us and told us they want us to put apartments here now, to resubmit and put apartments. So it's like we're being undermined all the time as residents when we come up here and talk. It's like the developer has direct communication with staff, and you all just approve because it says it's approved by staff. I just want you all to realize you represent us as residents. It would be nice to sit here and know that y'all are listening to our side and not just what staff tells you. Because staff wants development, staff wants things to work. there's things that can work. We're not saying we're anti-development. We're saying that there's a lot of issues that if you approve it, these issues are going to face, they're not going away, they're going to get worse. There's a lot of issues with line of sight. If here we put in how much money for those cameras down there for speed trap on the schools. We talk about kid safety. We have an engineer telling you that, hey, he has a simple fix, and we're not even listening to him because this development has the pond extended out to the end of their property that is going to cause the same issue of line of sight for people to get ran over. You cannot go off that stop sign. If there was an officer sitting there and watched how you have to come out of there, it'd look like you run the stop sign because you stop back, then you got to go forward, stop again, make sure no one's coming from the left side, and then go because you can't see. So if that line of sight is going to continue to be a problem, I don't know how more clear that could be from the first issue of line of sight, but flooding is going to be a continue, and I haven't heard a resolution yet from anyone on how the flooding is going to be fixed. I keep hearing, oh, down the road, there's another project that I can keep going? I hear there's another project coming that will fix this issue. We're going to pull the water this way. What is that fix? Do you all know? From council, do you all know? I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm saying, do you know what the fix is for drainage for Michigan Avenue? So that's where we're running into is we keep just pushing things through without real answers always. We're asking as residents that live here for a long period of time, we know what kind of issues are here on this property and what's going to come with the development. And the weird thing, is there any way we could put up the picture that y'all had of the proposed? The PSP. So in the original plan that was, kind of sketched, it didn't have Delaware going through. So, and staff, and Veronica, you were part of this, assured me that that road was not going to go through. So how does direction happen when I get told something? And I have emails from 23 from Dave Tomac that wanted to make deals for your Orange Avenue, telling me that this road is not going through. So I'm trying to understand how staff that I've been working with on deals to try to help the city grow, since 23 doesn't know that we're trying to vacate that road. And I think I was in here asking, and you all said you'd waive the fee to vacate roads. Delaware was one of it, Furtick was one of it, and Eastern. So how can you talk to me this way and then you're going to allow a PSP to come in if this is directed by staff? How does that happen? Can I ask you, Veronica, how does that happen?
Absolutely. There's right-of-way, and our land development code requires a development to connect to the adjacent right-of-way and improve the right-of-way. There's been no vacation application submitted.
But you knew I want to vacate that
We
road.
have a land development code.
So why did you tell me that there was no, you even said it on the minutes record, that there was no reason for the city to even want to put that road through. So why would you say that?
I don't remember saying that. I would like to see those minutes.
Okay, so can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
So staff does not know that we were trying to vacate this road.
That wasn't the question. The question was if we would support waiving the fees for your
I'm asking,
vacation.
I have emails since 23 that you knew what roads I was trying to vacate. Are you saying that I have not worked with staff?
All right.
I don't think this is productive.
Yeah, so
It's
Jerem,
not productive because you don't want to
what
answer
we
the
can do,
question.
Jerem,
So the
what
PSP is, here's where I'm at. It seems like we're always getting the back end of things of residents because we get told one thing and then this is the kind of answers we get. Oh, I don't remember this. There's no proof of this. There's no this. I'm telling you that I was told multiple times that this road was not going through.
Okay.
And if it isn't, that's all I'm really concerned with this development because it has no need to go through to go anywhere. And I don't know why this development needs two entrances when the development above it has one entrance that has tons more homes in it. So the
Yes, sir.
flooding issues is also the issue down at the corner. And why did the first plan that wasn't really submitted, but we have the plan, how come it didn't have the road in it originally?
All right. Were you also in the meeting with the developers as well?
Yep, I went to the library, and they were very combated. The developer was very like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Staff says we don't have to do that. So what was the point of even having the meeting? Because anything we suggested, they already shot it down before we even could bring anything back to y'all. And they had answers from staff quicker than, we never got any answers from staff.
Okay.
So,
Well, I can tell you, I saw this just 4 or 5 days ago, and I did have concerns about that road, especially how it goes very close to, I believe that's your mother's house right there.
It is.
Those were my concerns. I remember hearing something about some drainage issues. I do know that there's a line of sight issue there. I think there's a lot that needs to be kind of worked on here and tweaked if this were to move forward. Because that is concerning. I mean, that does put it within 5 feet of their house.
And then here's-
very close. I mean, I'm looking at the property appraiser's website, but that's very close to that.
because here was our suggestion, because they said, oh, well, we need the fire truck to turn around. So they didn't want to ruin lots because they couldn't put a fire truck turnaround at the end. So they made them put that extra parking lot on the end because they can't allow cars to park on that driveway, right? If you live in the lot, what is that, number 1 at the end? You think you're going to park your car all the way at the other side to walk to your house? I mean, I know it's in code and development, there's also called hardships and variances and changes for the developer to be able to do stuff that's conducive and makes sense. Worst case scenario, I see that they have a road going to where? Why is the road going to another property owner? That don't make no sense. What is that exit for? Why didn't they put another house there? Why did they shrink everything back this way and leave that wide open space up at the front? It's almost like they're doing it on purpose because we met with them and they knew what we wanted not to happen. They did just the opposite of discussion. And we even said, hey, if you did a second road out, why don't you just make it like all these other developments that have just a fire exit only? Fire trucks can use it only. Instead of.
What does Michigan Estates have across the street, City Manager?
I don't understand the question.
Michigan Estates, they've got one entrance in. Do they have a secondary?
I'm not sure, but our land development code currently requires the connection to the adjacent properties, and that's why there's a connection to the property to the south.
No, that wasn't I was talking about Michigan Estates across the street and why that doesn't have a secondary.
I don't know, except for
Okay.
it was probably before the code was updated, and
Okay.
that development's been there at least 10, 15 years, if not. I mean,
Yeah, at least.
It doesn't have another entrance, to answer your question.
No, that's what I was looking at. I didn't see another one and I spoke with the city manager about this, and obviously I disagree. I don't believe that Delaware needs to connect all the way to Furtick. Because we're looking at Nolte Road and hopefully that area we could have some light industrial, some employment center there. But I don't want to see any commercial activity north of David Road, David Drive. I don't believe we should mix that in with the residential.
Well, one arrow shows even that they're trying to put, like on in the agenda packet, shows the arrow of trying to push Furtick back through again, which it seems like we're constantly trying to vacate that, but the city's still trying to push that road, it looks like.
All right. Can I get the engineer back up here, please? Thank you, Jeremy. I'm going to let you speak on any of the points as well, sir.
Sure.
Well, but Mayor, I don't know if you had any other public comment on that before you wanted them to respond.
Okay. Anyone in the audience like to address this item?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
So we can, yeah.
I forgot you were the public.
Hi, thank you. Scott Glasscock, 401 Clay Drive and 3074 South Delaware, right next to the property you're talking about. And of course, my concern, because I've owned the property and I see how wet it gets, and once you build a bunch of houses over there, they're not going to be able to take all their water. It's going to come to me for me to deal with. And of course, I agree with Jerem. Not to stand in the way of development, but this is very unnecessary. And just like we were talking about, now you have a dead-end road anticipating taking someone's property or forcing them to sell, the guy that's next to me. And if there's more concerned for a road to go nowhere. Delaware isn't going to be your bridge to nowhere. There's no advantage to anyone whatsoever other than people trying to dodge the red light at Michigan Avenue to try to haul ass through there and cut through to gain a couple more spots to pick up their kid at school. There is no other advantage, none whatsoever. It will just be a speed zone for everyone else, and there won't be people down there stopping them and, for stacking up on Clay Drive, Rebecca and David, to drop off their kids and sit there for hours, wait for them to come back. It's already a nightmare. So you add a speed zone in there, it's just going to cripple our community.
Now, can I ask you a question, Mr. Glasscock?
Yes, sir.
Were you also in attendance in that meeting?
Yes. Not with the developer. I was not there. I was out of town for that. But for the last meeting here, I was.
Yes, sir. Okay, you can continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and that's it. I just want to, my main concern is South Delaware. I know that the building is going to happen, and I'm going to have to live with that, and it's going to impact me more than I would ever want. We'll have to live with whatever comes. But Delaware and the access and all the easements, that it just doesn't seem right. It does not fit into a small town community. It's way overboard. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. Yep, you can come right back up. Yes, sir.
I know Scott had 30 seconds left, but going off of what the floodplain manager mentioned with those criteria and what would be helping and assisting the city for lowering our flood insurance costs and stuff like that, one of the things she mentioned was the criteria of having your finished floor elevations 2 foot above the base flood elevation. So my concern, in addition to this, and I mean, we have a lot of engineering things that could be tweaked on this plan, but going off of what Mr. Glasscock has stated is, as an adjoining property owner, the only way to get all the water to go from the east side over to the west side is they're going to have to bring in a lot of fill, right, and raise it up and over. And with the additional floodplain management elevation raises, like it was just stated earlier, about 2 feet higher than the base flood elevation, that's even more of an issue that would cause for those adjoining properties where that water would normally be able to perk and stage in the grass, but it's already having a hard time. That's all I wanted to mention.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And the engineer.
Okay, thank you. So a lot to unpack. I'm going to try to touch base on a number of things that were said here. So just to give you a little background, when this was previously brought forth to council when we had just the zoning application package. At the time of zoning, our residents voiced some concerns about the drainage and what have you. At that time, even though that's just a zoning application and site plan related items are not really pertinent at that stage of your process and in accordance with your land development code, based on all the issues that the residents were voicing in council, the decision was made to table it at that time, and to basically staff asked us to submit the PSP so that they could review everything in its entirety, as opposed to just letting the zoning move forward. In addition, they also asked us to submit a drainage report, which we did as well. So a couple things to just kind of then note on. So we did meet with the HOA, and there were a number of things that were brought up. It was not combative in any sense. There were other HOA residents there that could discuss the type of discussion that we had there. But we did take the notes from that meeting. We updated our site plan to reflect those comments, to address Mr. Fairtix as well as the other residents' comments, presented that to city staff. Went through all those with city staff, and we were not opposed to what they were asking for. We revised our plan to reflect what they were asking for, and staff directed us, as Veronica has said here, they wanted Delaware to go through, so we kept that on there. We were not going to improve Fairtick because they didn't want us to do that. Staff said we needed to improve Fairtick. The road on the west end of the property going to the south, we didn't have that proposed. Staff wants that interconnectivity. So those items that were requested, we tried to adhere to them. Staff, based on their land development code and the requirements of their land development code, said that what you see here today is what they're looking for. So that's how we addressed those. Just quickly touching base on the site distance comment, a couple things there. I was actually at the site prior to coming here today. What you have is, as they're saying, is the crosswalk is kind of angled a little bit. Stop bar is back a little bit from the corner. Nothing unusual from a lot of intersections that we see today. In fact, when we design intersections, we design the stop bar in front of the crosswalk, and then the understanding is, or the way people drive, is when the crosswalk is clear, they pull forward so they can see up and down the street. In this instance, the main issue you have is that Michigan, the eastern edge of Michigan Avenue, is very close to the right-of-way line. And once you hit the property line, or the right-of-way line, there's tall vegetation. So that is what is blocking the view. When we develop the property, that all gets cut down. And even where the stop bar is today, currently located behind the crosswalk, when that vegetation is removed, you will have a clear line of sight down Michigan. It's a straight road. So that item that they've brought up will no longer be an issue once the site's been cleared and the vegetation removed. They talked about floodplain. There is no floodplain on this property. It is a very flat area. All the surrounding properties are very flat. They have undulations in their property, even though there's no real fall across the site. So a lot of these residents experience some standing water in heavy rainfall events. When we looked at the drainage, and what we did was we did a design level, a final engineering design level drainage report. We submitted that at the PSP stage, even though that is not your code requirement at this stage. We went ahead and provided that to you. We have met, or the report, I should say, demonstrates that we meet all the city's criteria in terms of design storms, as well as the Water Management District's criteria. Understanding the residents' concerns, we did a couple extra things. The site does discharge a portion to the east. In the 100-year event, it's about 8 CFS. We've eliminated that to 0. So we have no discharge towards Mr. Fairtick's mom's house. He had made that statement that was a concern for him, so we've eliminated any of the runoff from this property in that direction. The property, the drainage to the west on this property is around 20 CFS. In the 100-year event, we have reduced that down to 5. It's a 70% reduction in the amount of runoff from this property. I understand there may be some issues with the drainage along Michigan. That's not necessarily in the purview of my client to fix. We have addressed everything on our site with respect to the city's code, gone above and beyond the city's code. Like I said, we're reducing 100% discharge to the east. We're 70% reduction discharge to the west. So I think we've gone above and beyond to try to address their drainage concerns. And then there were some comments regarding traffic. I understand the school's on the road. There's a lot of traffic there already. This is a 30-lot subdivision. With or without this development, the impact of traffic is negligible from this site. It's not going to make any appreciable difference on what they see today. Issues out there on traffic are well beyond this project's purview and our responsibility to fix. That's the county, that's the city working together to come up with a larger scale traffic master plan to address. Any other questions? And there was a lot that was mentioned, so I don't know if I hit all points, tried to get those, but if there's any other thing that was made or in comments that you'd like me to address, I can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I believe there's a lot mentioned because there are a lot of different things here from all angles of this property. Where I believe that as a council, we need to determine whether or not we care if Delaware actually connects to Furtick. I would like to preserve the integrity of Clay, Rebecca, and David. Those are 130-foot lots. It's a very unique product that we have in this city. Most things are about 50-foot lots anymore, these cookie-cutter subdivisions. I don't want to just, nothing against yours. So I'm going to go ahead and refer to the south of Rebecca and David and all that. You know, that area down there, and that's how we like to meet in workshops so we can talk about the different areas and where we envision different product around the city. Like an employment center, I know I've spoken with the city manager about the South Delaware Avenue and Nolte area, but I don't want to see commercial trucks running up into these 130-foot lot subdivision, or this area here, development, Clay, Rebecca, and David. And I think just going up to Furtick really doesn't do there's really no point to it. So I think that's why that road is on your property, or on your project, because they want that connectivity all the way down to Nolte.
Correct. That was a request from staff. And I did want to make one comment was noted about how close that is to Mr. Fairtick's property. It's a 30-foot right-of-way. It's supposed to be a 50. We dedicated half the right-of-way that's required, and the additional dedication of right-of-way would come from the Fairtick's property. We did offer to dedicate the whole 15 feet, because again, we're trying to appease all the concerns that they had for us, and we were told to just dedicate the half that our property would normally be required to do. Okay. We're not opposed to it being in there or not being in there. We had developed a plan where it wasn't, but again, staff has it, I guess, part of the city's transportation plan, and so the desire was to have it, and so that's why it's there.
Okay, and you do acknowledge that there are some drainage issues over at Michigan and Furtick, but you just say that they're not.
I'm not aware that. I don't live out here.
Okay.
I don't drive up and down Furtick, Michigan Avenue. It's not our responsibility to analyze the county's entire roadway and drainage system. What we're responsible for is to design a project that meets the city's and the water management district's stormwater guidelines and criteria. We've done that. We've exceeded that by, like I said, we've reduced 70% of what our allowable discharge is. We've reduced it by 70%, reduced it by 100% going to the east. So we have a stormwater system that's over-designed, I should say, per the city standards. And those calculations were submitted to the city as part of the PSP review package.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I don't know where the council sits on this, but I'd like to see everybody kind of go back to doing a little more research on this and see. I think we need to talk about how we envision that area, because if we say we don't care if Delaware goes all the way up to Furtick, then there's no point of doing that. And that kind of helps out both parties. I think you'd rather not have to put in that road, and you'd rather not that road not be in there. So everybody wins.
So I would just like to say, we're not opposed to what you're saying. What we're opposed to is the timeframe.
Okay.
We came here with a rezoning request, and that turned into doing a PSP and drainage. My client has contractual obligations that we've been delayed upon. We're now probably a year into this process, and now to say that we've done everything, we met with the residents, we tried to appease them, we met with staff had their recommendations, we've done what everyone said, we've done final engineering analysis, the client spent a ton of money beyond where he would normally spend. on a project where he still doesn't even know if he can move through. So we're not opposed to it, but it would be nice for us to be able to come out of here with an approval of our zoning and our PSP and acknowledge if moving forward into the engineering, if you guys want us to remove Delaware, we'll remove Delaware. I mean, we had a plan to do that. But to go back to the drawing board now, after being delayed and strung along here for this time, is a little difficult for the developer to accommodate, given the hardship he's already endured.
No, I understand, sir. And look, I've been the mayor for 7 months, first time I've heard of this project. You haven't been back since, so that's why I don't think it's unreasonable to ask that we move this to the July 10th meeting. If we can get some, during one of our many workshops that we have, if we can discuss this further. I don't know if that's the pleasure of the council, but I, for one, don't really have a great understanding of this. All right, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Any discussion from council? Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
I would be willing to make a motion for approval, removing Delaware from the plan.
So, okay, so that's a motion.
Okay. I will go ahead and second that motion to remove Delaware from the plan.
All right, so if we can just
But we got to
appreciate that.
rework that.
So you have the zoning piece, and then you have the zoning piece, the removal of Delaware would be on the second item. So if we could,
So then motion to approve.
for the
zoning.
zoning ordinance, yes.
City manager, what are the issues at Michigan? Are you familiar with any drainage issues down there? I mean, I hate approving things and still not knowing what the issues that we have.
I'm sorry, I can't say that I know specifically what any issues we have there are. I know that the property across the street is kind of undeveloped, kind of vacant land, so quite often when you have that land in that condition, there is, usually some drainage problems in those areas. I know we did have a complaint about the stormwater ditches. I know we did go clean them. I don't know if that resolved the issue. I can follow up and find out more. I know we're doing improvements on Michigan Avenue, but they're mostly pedestrian improvements. I would need to verify if they included at Michigan Avenue, if we were doing pedestrian improvements there. I'm just not sure. And I did also want to clarify, because it was said a couple times that staff asked for the PSP. The original motion from the city council the first time they came was to continue it so that it could return with a PSP.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and the way I look at my role up here is to find a win-win for everybody. And Mr. Furtick, can you please come up here real quick, if you don't mind? The motion made by Deputy Mayor Fletcher, is that something that you and your family would?
Yeah, so the motion is for the zoning, if the second motion is going to be without the PSP, without Delaware in there, and that their property line falls back past the right-of-way, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, we still have other issues, but, I mean, that'll fix it, and they can move on with their development, and we're fine with that.
Yeah.
But I would like to see the PSP, like, what is your thought process on, is it just going to be a dead end there? They have to turn around? Because I don't want to get another surprise that I think we won something on the road coming next to us. So what is the answer there? Is the only concern I have. So
Okay,
if you're eliminating that exit, I'm fine with if we don't have any exit there, but is that the fix?
City manager, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Just to clarify, if they don't put Delaware in, then the only way Delaware is going to be put in is if the city council budgets for it, does the engineering plans, and we do it. We would have to get additional right-of-way on both sides.
And just so you,
It would, my point is, it's most likely not going to happen if you remove it from the plan without some time. It's not, that would not be a priority anytime soon. We have other transportation priorities.
Well, and that's why I wanted to research it more, because I had no idea until 4 days ago that we're talking about running Delaware Avenue through there.
and so you know, I mean, as you
Something
look
I
at that
don't
map,
think
my
that's-
mom owns the whole section going north to south to the development. We have no desire to develop. It's her homestead. There's no need for any excitement to build roads. And I can speak for Scott, he's in the back. He has no desire to sell. Scott? So the major property that you're trying to do this to, we have no plans to develop in the near future. We
Yes, sir.
try to work with the city on many projects that keeps coming around. We're the middle of your downtown or city. We would like to continue to work with the city, but we can't if there's double talk all the time.
You might as well just move in.
Right, we're gonna move in, we get an office
We'll get
here.
you an office in
But
here.
I appreciate y'all entertaining the time on this and taking the time to really talk through it. I know the developer wants to build, so it satisfies us if that road disappears.
Okay.
But I don't know, can it just be a dead end there? I just don't want another road out because that causes another issue if it's gonna be traffic.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Urban.
I was just going to make a, oh, go ahead, sir.
I think we need fire.
Okay. You want to wait on Jason?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir, Fire Chief.
Sorry, Jason Miller, Fire Chief. That roadway connection may be a requirement for access due to the length of the dead end in the LDC and the fire code. Can't remember off the top of my head right now what exact the measurement is. So it may require either a modified hammerhead or something, a large cul-de-sac down there at the end. Also, don't just take fire trucks into account. Remember, you got some pretty large garbage trucks that have to make turning radiuses down there. We can't do dead ends. Dead ends don't work for either one of us. So it either needs to be a cul-de-sac bulb down there, or maybe we need to look at something. So just pointing that out. I don't have the measurements in front of me, and I don't have the code right in front of me, so I don't want to speak 100% to that, but there could be some conflicting issues there.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Urban.
I understand there's been a lot of, might be a motion that's already on the floor, but I would make a competing motion just to continue this to the July 10th meeting so we can have further discussion about it.
I would be okay with that, Mayor.
All right. Yes, sir. Councilmember.
As some of the
Sorry,
comments that we met with them, where the parking lot is, there was a service road for the fire trucks only to use, and garbage trucks if they need to, but not open as another exit to cause more non-stopping at a stop sign. So there is fixes. Use the parking lot that they have designed there, put the road through and keep the parking lot there. And the fire trucks and the garbage trucks have a way out to do a big U-ey in there. I mean, if they can look at this other side there, they have an empty lot. They have room to do a turnaround down there if they move stuff. They have an empty lot and a dead-end road that goes nowhere. So there is areas, don't let them paint us in a corner of saying we can't do it because they're going to lose a house or something. They have room in here.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. All right, we have a motion to move it to the July 10th meeting, city council meeting, and we have a second, motion from Councilmember Urban, second from Deputy Mayor Fletcher. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
And that same motion will apply to Council Action 1, so both items are continued to July 10th.
All right, thank you. We have to take a second vote?
No.
Or no? Oh, it's okay, you were saying it applies. City Manager.
Question, are we to discuss the PSP access at the workshop? No, we can't do that, right?
No, I think if I may, I think the intent was to try to work to eliminate Delaware, but I think what you heard was it may need a little bit of redesign of the plan, good look by the fire department to make sure it's going to work, and then that's what we plan on bringing back.
You can bring it back. Yes, please. Madam Clerk, please read item number 2 into the record.
Public hearing and transmittal for ordinance number 2025-49, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, adopting the transportation element of the comprehensive plan, project number CPA 25-0006, providing for filing of the Planning Commission's recommendations, proof of publication, applicability, effects, severability, copies on file, and effective date.
Good evening, Melissa Dunklin again, Director of Community Development. This project before you is for the Transportation Element Comprehensive Plan Update. The Transportation Element is the city's planning document for transportation infrastructure. It includes the data inventory and aligns our plan with the current best practices. This update is an effort to capture the recommendations made in the Transportation and Mobility Master Plan and the Vision Zero Action Plan that Council approved last year in September of 2024. The inventory includes existing conditions, and the data analysis assesses the future needs in the following areas. For roadway infrastructure and classification, this includes roadway inventory, framework, street identification, jurisdictional responsibilities, and classification of constrained facilities. Safety covers crash locations, signalization and evacuation routes. Multimodal transportation encompasses public transit, active transportation such as biking and walking, and regional roadways. Transportation system analysis involves evaluating growth trends, roadway performance, and overall safety. And the future planning focuses on proposed and anticipated transportation improvements. Here are a few examples of maps that are included in the map series for the transportation element. We'll start with the Framework Streets map. All of the framework streets will be designed as complete transportation corridors, including bicycle, pedestrian, and transit features to achieve a true multimodal system. Framework streets are identified in the Transportation and Mobility Master Plan and included in this element as the Framework Streets map. Okay. The next map is the Maintenance Responsibility map, which identifies the roadways that are to be maintained by each jurisdiction, such as the county, state, and of course the cities. This traffic crash density and severity map is an example of a new map added to the series reflecting the data from the Vision Zero Action Plan. The Vision Zero Action Plan was adopted with the goal of reducing the number of fatalities and serious injuries within our transportation network down to zero. It is also a guiding tool that incorporates countermeasures and recommendations for specific areas where accidents most frequently occur that result in death or serious injury. The proposed update added clarifying language to our goals to focus on all users. The underlined words are what was added to the current goals. And we'll talk about those goals just a little bit. Goal 1 just essentially states that the city is committed to creating a safe, efficient, and accessible multimodal transportation system for all users. The policies and objectives will help guide the updates to our land development code to accomplish them. The second goal, the city is committing to developing a financially feasible transportation system that meets the accessibility needs of the city residents, businesses, and visitors. Staff recommends approval. On May 20th, Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval. Likewise, it is requested that City Council approve ordinance number 2025-49 for the transmittal to the Florida Department of Commerce for interagency review. This is a city-initiated project, so staff is available for any questions.
Councilmember Urban.
Thank you. This is a great plan. I have one comment about this. We have a beautiful golf course in our city, one of the most treasured secrets that are, as golf course-wise, that there are on municipally owned property in Central Florida. And one of the roads runs Michigan Avenue straight through the middle of it. I had a lot of discussion with staff about this on some alternatives that we could look at so that we're not running a road right through our very nice golf course. And there are a couple of options that I was sent by our city manager and public works director, one of them being extending LaSalle Avenue instead. That way it would go around, but I would like for the council to consider looking at options to not run Michigan Avenue through the middle of the golf course. And I've had conversations with the management out there, and I know they were concerned about that as well. So on a separate subject and maybe a future workshop topic, I'd like to talk with the council about directing staff to enter into discussions on extending the city's agreement with the golf course, but separate subject. The main thing is running Michigan Avenue through the middle of it right now.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Urban, I agree. I met with Bill Filson out there, I guess he's the owner or the representative of the owner. And, they want to invest more in that property, millions worth of more facilities, a new restaurant. And I think that's an amazing idea. I've been golfing out there many times. I think it's a great asset in our community. So I do agree with you that Michigan Avenue, as much as it would be nice to cut through there, I believe that would hurt a great asset in the community. So I do support alternative routes, LaSalle, whether it be the orange or the blue line that we have there. So, and yes, I do agree. We need to talk about the existing contract with the golf course. Deputy Mayor, nope, I'm so sorry. We have Councilmember Gilbert.
Yeah, I'm going to defer to the city manager because I think we had a conversation prior to this meeting. Did we not, city manager? Could you update us, please? Thank you. I yield back.
We did. Thank you. And actually, that's why I wanted to, that's why I turned my light on when the mayor mentioned the red and the blue line. I think only the city council received my email. The red and the blue line were two potential alternate routes for LaSalle to continue north, which would eventually actually connect to Orange Avenue and go all the way north to the lakefront. So it is a good alternative. Public Safety actually recommended it in lieu of Michigan Avenue because we are going to be building a fire station on Orange. So the fact that Orange would connect eventually all the way down to LaSalle would work well. So staff does recommend approval of removing Michigan Avenue and instead focusing on that LaSalle extension. But we would like it to connect at the roundabout, which was, I'm not sure.
We would have to
what
start
color that
conversation
was.
with the property owner, I guess. At that
We would
point.
have to acquire property in order to do that. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Councilmember Paul.
Yes, I'm in favor of the LaSalle Avenue route rather than the golf course cutting through that, so, thank you.
Okay. Do we just need to, do we vote on this?
So the rest of the transportation element, we do need a motion so we can transmit it to the state, and we would make that change for the final hearing after we hear back from the state. We would make that final change for the final adoption.
So
Yeah, we make the motion minus Michigan Avenue. Is that
Yes.
kind of, yeah, that sound good?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Can
this
we
is
get a motion?
transmittal, though, so it's not final action.
Okay.
So you'll see it again. So.
Do you have a motion?
Motion to approve with the change of LaSalle Avenue.
Second. We have a motion from Councilmember Urban, second from Deputy Mayor Fletcher. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Paul?
Aye.
Councilmember Urban?
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher?
Aye.
Mayor Robertson?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, and next we have discussion possible action regarding the appointment of Dave Askew to the Toho Water Authority Board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve from Councilmember Urban, second from Councilmember Gilbert. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Urban?
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher?
Aye.
Councilmember Paul?
Aye.
Mayor Robertson?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, the next items on the agenda are ordinances before the council for first reading and introduction for the sole purpose of the council to authorize the publication of the ordinance for a final hearing. The council will not take final action on the item tonight. I'm so sorry, I skipped a sentence there. Full presentations and public input on the ordinances will occur at the final hearing, at which the council will consider final action. Madam Clerk, please read item number 1.
First reading and introduction for ordinance number 2025-46, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, to annex into the City of St. Cloud approximately plus minus 24.66 acres identified as Clay Whaley Road Mixed Use Project Number ANX 24-00013, located north of Clay Whaley Road, west of Florida's Turnpike in accordance with the voluntary annexation provisions of Chapter 171.044 Florida statutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved, Councilmember Urban.
Second.
Second, Councilmember Paul. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Madam Clerk, please read item number 2.
First reading and introduction for ordinance number 2025-47, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, assigning a future land use designation of approximately plus minus 24.66 acres identifies Clay Whaley Road mixed use, project CPA 24-00017, located north of Clay Whaley Road and west of the Florida Turnpike from mixed-use county to mixed-use city, providing for amending of the official future land use map of the comprehensive plan, finding the planning's recommendations, proof of publication, applicability effects, severability, copies on file, and effective date.
Sound like the end of a car commercial at the end. It's pretty good. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved, Councilmember Paul.
Second.
Second from Deputy Mayor Fletcher. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
He's not sitting.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Madam Clerk, please read item number 3.
First reading and introduction for ordinance number 2025-48, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, providing a zoning amendment of the zoning map of the Land Development Code of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, specifically changing the zoning designation of approximately plus minus 24.66 acres identified as Clay Whaley Road mixed use, project ZMA 24-00017, generally located north of Clay Whaley Road and west of the Florida Turnpikes from MXD mixed use county to MIX mixed use city, providing for amending of the official future land use map, filing the Planning Commission's recommendations, proof of publication, applicability effect, severability, copies on file, and effective date.
Madam Clerk, please read item number 4.
First reading and introduction for ordinance number 2025-51, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, amending and restating all sections of City's Employees Handbook, providing for severability, conflicts, and effective date.
And can we get a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion approved, Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Paul. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
And Madam Clerk, please read item number 5.
First reading and introduction for ordinance number 2025-52, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida pertaining to the enforcement of codes amending section 2-282, applicable codes and ordinances of the city code by adopting amending Exhibit A, revising the list of codes enforceable by issuance of citation, providing for conflicts, severability, administrative corrections, publication, effective date.
And can I get a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion approved, Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Paul. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Gilbert. Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
And Madam Clerk, please read item number 6.
First reading introduction for ordinance number 2025-53, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Osceola County, Florida, amending Chapter 24 Environment and creating Articles 9 Open Burning, providing prohibitions, permitting exemption, emergency prohibitions, extinguishment and suppressions of enforcement and penalties, providing for findings, conflicts, severability, administrative corrections, codification, publication, and effective date.
And can we get a motion on that item?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved, Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Urban. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert. Mayor Robertson.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, we're going to take a quick 10-minute break here. We've been kind of going at it for a few hours, so.
All right.
Is it freezing?
All right, we are back. And lastly, City Attorney, do you have anything?
I do not,
this
Mr. Mayor, thank you.
evening? And City Manager.
Yeah, Yes, I'm sorry, I should have pulled my paper out. I wanted to, we have our July 4th event before the next council meeting, so just wanted to take this opportunity to give a little bit of information about the event. Event kickoff is at 4 p.m. Then we're going to have 4 30 to 40-minute live music sets, Afterglow and the Derek Mack Band. There's a cornhole tournament that will begin at 5 p.m. The winners will be announced 1 hour prior to the fireworks. There will be a car show throughout the duration of the event. Those winners will also be announced 1 hour prior to the fireworks. There will be a kid zone throughout the day. It also closes 1 hour prior to the fireworks. There's a trend. And then the event we will all be waiting for, the fireworks, will be kicking off at 9 p.m. approximately. And if there is bad weather, that could be adjusted. So that is all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Paul.
I want to say Happy Father's Day to all the great men out there and those that are listening. And I hope you have a great weekend as well. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Urban.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I just want to extend my deepest condolences and prayers to the families and loved ones affected by the Pulse nightclub shooting, which occurred 9 years ago today. The senseless act of violence will never be forgotten. In St. Cloud and throughout Central Florida, we will always honor the lives lost and remain committed to fostering a community united in love and compassion. Secondly, and as was mentioned, if this was a private sector job, we could handle these things one-on-one, but unfortunately we have to do this at a public meeting. At our most recent city council meeting on May 27th, the deputy mayor asked the city council to consider lifting our pause on proclamations in order to vote on his sponsored proclamation, despite the fact that we already decided to move forward, not to move forward with 2 others, including Fatherhood Awareness Month. I'm a father, so that affects me too. The city council declined by a 4-to-1 consensus. Rather than having an open discussion on the dais, as is appropriate, Mr. Fletcher chose to leave the meeting and abruptly issue a so-called press release in which he claimed that the council was, quote, undemocratic and discriminatory, and falsely stated, quote, these matters should never be decided behind closed doors. Mr. Fletcher knows, as all of us here do, that this was a public discussion held during a properly advertised and noticed meeting open for anyone to attend. This misleading press release then prompted news coverage across the country where the deputy mayor was further quoted as saying, this was a clear target, end quote, to take the time to basically say, you're not valued or worthy enough to be a resident of the city is just unbelievable. I'd like to ask you, Deputy Mayor, when did we ever say that? Did we ever say that? Mr. Fletcher knows full well that these statements were false and grossly mischaracterized his fellow council members and the nearly 70,000 residents of our community. I find these comments not only offensive, but also irresponsible and borderline defamatory. The Deputy Mayor knows that St. Cloud is an inclusive city that treats every resident with equality and respect. Discrimination, harassment, or violence against any group will not be tolerated in this community. I say this with great disappointment as I have long admired and respected Mr. Fletcher. I was the one who originally recommended him for the role of deputy mayor. I believe that by publicly mischaracterizing and smearing his fellow council members, Mr. Fletcher has done significant harm to the integrity of this council and the reputation of our city. For that reason, I would make a motion to reassign the position of deputy mayor to Councilmember Fletcher, or Councilmember Gilbert.
I believe, Dan, we'd have to vote to add that.
It's not on the agenda, so if you want to take final action on that, you'd have to add it to the agenda to vote on it.
Well, I'd motion to add it to the agenda then.
We have a motion to add discussion about removing Deputy Mayor Fletcher from the position of deputy mayor. I will second that motion. Would you like to continue discussion?
I think you need a vote on it first.
Vote on discussion? Okay.
No, vote on the motion that
Vote
you
on the
just made
motion.
to add it to the agenda.
Yes, sir. And Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Paul?
Aye.
Councilmember Urban?
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert?
Nay.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher?
Nay.
Mayor Robertson?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-2.
So do you have another motion, Mr. Urban?
I'd like to motion to assign the deputy mayor title to Councilmember Gilbert.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Urban. Is that a second from Deputy Mayor Fletcher?
Yep.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Urban?
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Fletcher?
Aye.
Councilmember Paul?
Aye.
Mayor Robertson?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Fletcher.
So I just want to say, thank you to everybody. Obviously, we have the events coming up, so I just wanted to invite the entire council to Proud in the Cloud on June 21st. It starts at 2 p.m. It's a family-friendly event, and happy Pride to everybody.
Deputy Mayor Gilbert.
I didn't even know it was Father's Day, man. That's pretty cool. This Sunday? Thank you, Councilwoman Paul. I did not know that, but I certainly appreciate it. And Grandfather's Day, too. So other than that, I have nothing to say.
Okay. Yeah, obviously, this has been one of the toughest meetings we've had to deal with. Councilmember Fletcher, obviously, I'm beside myself on this. I'm deeply disappointed in you. And I've never seen any of us act any different way towards you. You know, we all have different opinions up here. We vote certain ways, but at the end of the day, we all respected each other. And I don't believe that we did anything to deserve that. And I know Councilmember Urban over here definitely didn't deserve his name being drug out there, and it made a spectacle. You know, our city deserves better than that. Our citizens deserve better than that. I don't know how we move past this, trusting that you have the best interests of the citizens at heart. It's not about just standing up for your beliefs. Look, I stand up for my beliefs. Everybody is entitled to do that, and I respect your beliefs. But when you drag us through the mud with lies, you know, how can we respect that in the future? And you can't wait. You know, that was 3 weeks ago, and you wait until now to apologize to Councilmember Urban when I believe you could have done that the entire time, and to all of us. So I think we made the right decision moving forward with a different deputy mayor. It pains me to say that, because I do like you, Sean. It's nothing personal, and I'm just deeply disappointed. That's not what I envisioned this council to be. I said it many times that I'd seen this council as such a great council that actually respect each other, and I know Dan and they've seen councils go at each other in the past, and I was very thankful that was not the case here, and then you did it to us, and you betrayed us.
Mayor, may I make a comment?
You absolutely can.
This is going to be the final comment that I make, and I agree with actually all of the statements, the majority of the statements that you have said. I do believe that this probably could have, we do respect one another up here, and we are passionate about the items that we do talk about. I will say, and hey, I just believe finding an administrative process to re-guide something, and I do believe it's undemocratic, because I do believe it was targeted. I do. I really do. To not have something move forward to where you put your name on it and you actually vote for it, that's undemocratic. That's what we're elected to do. We're elected to vote on items brought forward, and to find a way in a process, an administrative process, to not do that, because I don't think Father's Day, Awareness Day, or that is a political thing. I don't. So to all of a sudden say, we need to relook at the process, we don't even know why. What's the reason? We don't even know why we're looking at it, because it was never set. And those are the end of my comments, and I hope everyone has a wonderful week.
Are you good, Councilmember Urban?
Thank you.
Okay. It's funny that you apologize and then you go into all that, and it's not an excuse. Are you saying that that proclamation was all political?
I'm not
Your
saying
proclamation
that it's all political. I still don't even know why we're looking at the process.
I think that it's irrelevant. I think you need to respect the
Oh, I
wishes of the
absolutely do.
council.
I do.
I believe, when you got elected onto this council, you agreed that you're not going to win every
Oh,
vote.
absolutely.
You're not going to, the
Absolutely.
majority kind of rules in this, and that is the stance of
And
the
it wasn't a
city.
vote, it was a consensus.
The decisions, we'll say the decision of the council. All right, the decisions of the council. I had 2 proclamations on there myself. I was surprised that it was brought up.
So it
but
wasn't done at a council meeting. It wasn't done when obviously the first openly LGBTQ gay man is on it, and that's the proclamation, but the other 2 are the ones that are the issue. So you mean to tell me doing it administratively and not bringing it to a vote, or having a discussion where we have,
Do you really want to go down that path?
No, I don't want to
saying,
go down
hold
that
on,
road. I've
that
already
we
said too
did it
much.
because you
No,
are the first
I just
gay man
don't
on this council.
understand why, like,
You're making it about
obviously,
you.
Obviously, having the proclamation means a lot to people. I had to pick up the phone and call people, and I knew that they were going to be upset about it. I'm like, oh, man, why do we have to do it? Why can't we do it in July? Is my point. And like, as friends, we could have taken that into consideration. And it was even mentioned in the workshop on the audio. It's like, well, we have this one, we have this one, and we have this one. And as friends here, you know what? Shoot, he really does have that one coming up. We could potentially look at it in July. We have workshops all the time. That's all I'm saying. And, I'm finished with my comments.
And
I've
I
rambled
respect
too
your
long.
comments, yes, sir.
And you know where I
think
stand on this issue, Mayor.
And look,
we're here, and I'm like, why are we even here discussing this? It's a waste of time in some respects because we have so much other business to take care of. It's a minor thing that means so much to so many other people.
And it's unfortunate that that's the way you should have continued to look at it, that, and not drag us through the mud. Because we didn't deserve that. We're not bad people. I don't believe so. Councilmember Paul.
I just have one question, and I'm not gonna go into deep, but why are we pressed about having a vote for us to vote on it and stuff? We all have our own personal beliefs, and to drag us into something that is a personal choice for you, you do whatever you please. That's your personal lifestyle. But to get a vote on something that you stand for, stand up fully for it and stuff. I did it with the proclamation on the sundown, and I was surprised with the votes, but I still took the backlash from the people on social media, and I took it, for a moment. So what is the problem with wanting a vote from us to vote on it in public?
So another thing, to provide a little history, we went through this last time.
I wasn't here when
I
y'all
know,
voted
we
on
went through
it.
this last time, so every time it's been brought, there's been this same issue.
And I'm going to say, I'm going to allow this open debate as long as we stay respectful.
Oh, for
and
sure.
I think we will. So,
Because the last time that it was brought forward, we had to go through and we came up with this process. And then, so when we go to do it again, it's kind of like, why is it happening again? So it feels like it's a bit of, I don't want to use the word attack because I don't think that is the intent necessarily. But it's like every time it comes forward, we always have to either look at the rules, change the rules, or how do we do it, this way or that way. And the last time that we looked at it, this is what we came up with. And the idea behind it was, all right, since we didn't have any rules and it always went through the mayor, well, you don't necessarily want to bring a proclamation that the mayor doesn't agree with because he doesn't want to do that. So then we created rules where it had to go for a vote. Did that. And then now, like during the workshop, you guys had discussed, and I was fully in support. I was like, okay, they discussed it. It was a majority decision to stop. I understand stopping it and looking at it. So then, in that workshop, you guys said, let's vote on it. I believe it may have been Councilmember Gilbert. I don't want to, put words in your mouth.
For the record, underneath the affirmation, there was no vote on that, so.
It was direction. It was
Okay.
direction.
So, for direction, Councilmember Gilbert did not vote on that, just for the record.
So it was, hey, how about we vote on it at the meeting prior, or as a possible solution, at the meeting prior, so that you have a heads up. You have time to talk to folks. You have time to read it. And then at the next meeting, then it can be presented and it's ready to go. So at the last council meeting, that's what I tried to bring forward, was like, hey, I know you guys talked about it, so could we get this one to move, forward, rather than waiting? And then I didn't understand why it wouldn't be a problem to do it. I had no answer, because here's the only time we can talk, right? So I brought that up at the last meeting, silence. Did not have the ability to talk about it in the sunshine. I wish I could pick up the phone and say, hey, what's the deal with this? But I can't. So that's what I tried to do at the last meeting. So that's my frustration. And, that's my comments. And I appreciate every single one of you. I really do. I think you all know that. It's been a tough couple weeks, obviously. And I think we should go on about our evening.
Well, I'm not ready to go on. I've got a lot to say still. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm glad you cleared it up with Councilmember Urban. You apologized, but you need to apologize to all of us. You ran us all through the mud. It's sickening. And especially since, I'm going to tell you, Sean, you opened up a can of worms on this. If you remember back in February, and you said that there was an event out there, the Proud and the Cloud event.
I do remember all of this.
And you remember, you asked, and you said, because the city's under construction, that, hey, can we do this? Whoever is going out there do it at the ranch at the same price, because the city is going to be under construction, causing the hindrance. And what was my immediate reaction to that? Do you recall that?
The council was supportive of it.
What was my immediate reaction?
I don't remember.
Okay. I think I asked you, I said, what event? And you told me. And I said, okay. Not that it mattered, I was just curious, because you just said there was an organization and an event. And do you remember after the meeting thanking me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Do you believe I'm a homophobe?
No.
Thank you.
I don't. Hence the
Do you
reason why I
think,
don't
hold on. Do you think I target the gay community?
If the council is not willing to put, I still don't
Hold
understand.
on, Sean. No,
here we go.
council member, do you believe that I target the gay community?
I don't think so.
Thank you. Then why did you put that quote out there, that you feel it was targeted? Because that's a reflection of all of us, because we all went along with.
The council as a whole, as a body, we have went through this several times.
And I've heard that,
Individual
but you have to
folks.
control your reactions to things. And I'm not going to, I'm not trying to run you down, but I got to tell you, you put us all through a world of it's stuff that we did not anticipate that we would ever have to go through with one of our fellow council members. And I thought you respected us all a little more than that, but I'm going to go back into this because I do believe that the city of St. Cloud actually provided a grant for this event.
That was, yes.
And how much was that event, city manager? Or how much was that grant?
I don't have.
It was
that on me.
$1,250.
Thank you.
It was $1,250. Now, do you know how much of a discount that the ranch was getting? I just got a timeline. I don't know if y'all got the same timeline before the meeting.
No,
Can you
it
provide them the
was-
timeline, please?
Oh, I
'Cause
can
we're
get a
gonna talk
copy.
about
Yes.
this.
And I do have that difference in dollar value is $2,364.
The information that you guys are referring to, the two of you do, is that available?
Yeah,
You
we're
can put it on the
we're-
screen.
Yeah, that's why I said I want everybody to have the same information.
Just put it on
Because
the
I
screen.
have many concerns, especially since we just right away said, yes, they can use the ranch at that same rate at the lakefront.
I don't know what just happened.
And they had already gotten a $1,250 grant towards that event. So how do we discriminate? This Christina Bosnich, whatever her name is, I don't know who she is. Does she even live in the state of Florida? Do you know her?
I'm not going to answer this line of questioning.
Okay, I'm trying to well.
Because you're trying to pin it on something that's.
Oh, we're going to I'm going to put it all on the record. I'm going to find out what is really going on here because I'm seeing some a lot of irregularities in some of this stuff. And I do want to talk about this. No matter what event, no matter what organization, I believe there's some deep concerns here. with how this has played out. I believe you had more information than the rest of us when you requested that reduction. I believe we had no information, but I believe for a week and a half, in fact, I know 100%, that you had all of the information. It didn't just come out of the blue. You had numbers, you had, it was requested by Christina Bozanich. I want to thank the city manager for sending me this, and during my briefing, we went over this. And some of the concerns I have, I'm going to go right into this, and I don't know about the St. Cloud Pride Alliance.
Okay.
If they're a nonprofit. I don't know the relationship between the LGBTQ Center of Orlando and St. Cloud Pride Alliance. Are you comfortable explaining that? I'm not putting you on the spot, but I'm trying to understand.
Again, this is where I wish we could just pick up the phone call and have a conversation.
No,
Seriously.
well, but this is the public's
absolutely.
money.
No, for sure.
And this is a lot of money.
Absolutely.
It's not my money.
You're-
And the city paid $5.5 million, maybe more, for this piece of property. And it is our responsibility to ensure that it is protected. And when we do rent it out or make deals to rent it out, whatever the case is, that we're doing it in the best interest of the public. So I'm trying to understand what St. Cloud Pride Alliance is. I think they put the Proud in the Cloud event on, from what I've gathered. But are they the LGBTQ center?
So the St. Cloud Pride Alliance is a volunteer organization in the city of St. Cloud who is fiscally sponsored by the Center of Orlando. Nonprofit organizations, they're the one, they manage basically the finances for it. It's called fiscal sponsorship. It's a normal thing.
I've never heard of that, and I run 2 nonprofits. I don't know what a fiscally sponsored, or, I'm sorry,
All right, so
you
it's
know
a-
I do, I've just never heard of that. Yes, ma'am, do you have information? I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Thank you. Cheryl Grebe, 612 Lakeshore Boulevard. As Council Member Fletcher mentioned, that the funds go through the Center Orlando. They do not currently have their nonprofit status. You and I actually spoke on the phone about this. And I explained to you that because they're a young organization and didn't have everything, all the funding together and such to become a nonprofit, we spoke with the Center Orlando, I'm part of the Alliance, and asked them if they would handle the funding and such, which they do. And they get a piece of the monies for doing that. And so then we're still able to do events. We have a Friendsgiving, because you have a lot of the LGBT community, some of which who aren't recognized by their family anymore. I was actually a legal guardian for a high schooler that got kicked out of her house for telling her parents she was gay. She was living on the streets in North Carolina. I get a call in Florida. I knew her, met her parents twice. They turned over legal guardianship to me because they wanted nothing to do with her. So things like Friendsgiving is important to the LGBT community. Things like what we're doing for Pride Fest and having it Proud in the Cloud is important. So it's not a shell game of any sort.
Is Kissimmee?
Pride Fest is Kissimmee, yes,
Okay,
but
thank you.
I meant Proud in the Cloud.
Oh.
So for Proud in the Cloud, again, important events, and it's not trying to say, it's not the Orlando organization that is putting it on, it's the group of volunteers as the Alliance putting it on, and the Center Orlando that handles the funds. Because since they don't have their nonprofit status, it would not be proper for them to take funds.
Yes, ma'am. All right. You said you're with the St. Cloud Pride Alliance too? Is that
Yes, sir.
Is there a board, a members
There,
list?
again, it's a volunteer organization.
Okay. Are there a member list of who's on
There
that?
are members on the list. I don't know, we have the.
You're not on
I don't have
it,
the
Sean.
list with, or
Are
anything
you on
like
the
that.
list? Are you a member?
I've attended and obviously I'm, friends and have worked with them, just like you work with folks in the community to assist
Okay.
and help. I would help.
No,
anybody.
I think, I'm just asking, are you, they talk about a board.
There is no official, it's a group of folks trying to,
Okay.
with similar.
Yeah, and you're explaining it that way. Christina Bozanich explains it a whole different way, that there's a board, it's an organization, it's a nonprofit organization. And I'm going to read that, and that's why, Commissioner Grebe,
Yeah, when we spoke,
I'm
you were concerned about that.
Well, this is
That's
just
why
2
I
days
kind of
ago.
explained that.
Right, but
The Pride Alliance itself is currently not a nonprofit.
But Christina Bosanich from Proud in the Cloud, because it doesn't say anything LGBTQ of Orlando, the nonprofit.
Mhm.
It says, "Hello, City Manager. This is Tuesday, February 4th. Our council meeting, I believe, was the 13th, the next Thursday. On behalf of the St. Cloud Pride Alliance, Proud in the Cloud Planning Committee, we're reaching out to follow up on our permit application for the 2025 Proud in the Cloud Pride Festival submitted on January 15th, which I've seen that as well. As a nonprofit organization, we have limited venue options that are financially comparable to lakefront or limited, and that kind of language, she can't really say that.
So in the application, did it not have the LGBT Center Orlando for the funding?
Well, this isn't, so no, actually, she is responding to the first application. She called it the St. Cloud Pride Alliance as the organization.
Mhm.
When asked for the organization's address, you just type the words mailing address.
Okay.
And,
So-
and that's where, and you know, as a commissioner,
no,
you would
I-
find this stuff deeply concerning.
Sure. And I
because-
thought I recalled you saying something about one of the applications. It did mention the center, and that's what alarms you because it's like the Center Orlando, but this is the St. Cloud organization,
No, that was the grant.
the grant.
Yeah,
Okay.
see, there's, and even
So
on
was the
that-
grant
well,
prior to this?
And I'll get into that one too.
Yeah, was the
That-
grant prior to this?
Yes, the grant was prior to this.
Okay.
Yeah,
So maybe they
I was
assumed
just
that
getting this
you
information from Scott over the
put it
past
together.
week, the deputy city manager. I'm just receiving this stuff. And it's only because this stuff's getting brought up. And I said, wait a minute, didn't we just bend over backwards to help these folks? And how can we be, they say that we're discriminating against them? I mean,
I don't think anyone on the alliance has said you've discriminated against.
Christina Bosanich, the former deputy mayor, literally wrote a piece, a statement, gave it to her, and she put it out there on her Facebook, or on her website, and said we discriminated. I mean, I assume she's with the St. Cloud Pride Alliance. She says she is. She represents herself as.
Yes, she's still a part of the organization.
And maybe I would rethink her involvement in it, because she's misrepresenting this group of folks, and I'm sure they're all fine folks. But this is all misrepresentation, and then to come out and bash this city council for just doing our jobs, whether one person likes it or not, whatever the issue is, you know how it is on council.
Sure.
Not everybody's going to agree.
Not everyone's going to agree, not everyone's going to vote for a pride proclamation.
We-
You know, I think if it came
We've
to a
talked
vote
it.
right now, it probably wouldn't pass, you know, and that's
Right.
your prerogative.
Yeah, and you know I respect you wholeheartedly, Commissioner. These are hard conversations to have, but I do want to take out the fact that it's a LGBTQ organization. I just want to look at it as an organization. That's where I'm looking at it, and that is my job here. And I would not be doing my job properly if I didn't fully vet these. I believe our city staff should have vetted these a little better. So it's my job too.
Sure.
And
So
I'm the one that gets, I'm going to
At this point, what do you want to do?
Well, I don't, I've got a lot to talk about here, Commissioner. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I need to go through this. Not necessarily with you. That's okay. You don't have to stand up there the whole time if you don't
Very
want to.
good. Happy to help in any way I need to.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you. So my concern, and as the Commissioner alluded to, there was asking about the first proclamation, or the first application. It just says mailing address. And saying that the organization that's trying to rent the facility, this was the lakefront park, is the St. Cloud Pride Alliance. And I didn't know who rented it last year. I wasn't here. You know, I didn't vet it last year. Sharon, I see your name's on here. I don't know if you're familiar with the application, the original application.
I'm familiar with that.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. When you came up here, and I remembered your name after, so.
Sharon Cardenas. I am familiar with the application process. I did not fill out the application last year, but I am familiar with the process to answer your question.
What about this year? Did you do this
I am
year?
familiar with the process. I remember filling out paperwork. We work with the center to provide their information in terms of their identity as a 501c3, and so because they fiscally sponsor us, while we are a volunteer organization, we work with them to make sure that they're handling our fiscal responsibility. So all funds go through them, and then we commit our impact to bring those funds to life based on our mission, which we, I believe, proclaimed in either conversations verbally, emails, or in applications such as the grants, which, as I mentioned earlier, I know the tension is high. I cannot speak for everyone's statements. I can speak for mine. I am on the Alliance as a citizen. I'm trying not to get emotional.
No,
I say emotions high, and I'm trying
You can
not
be
to
honest with
meet
us.
there. I hope to do that productively if I do. My goal as a citizen is to make this city as approachable for everyone, backgrounds, viewpoints, et cetera. So much so, I moved from Missouri originally. I brought my father, a veteran, here. He moved here because I proclaimed how much I loved the city and how much it backed what we believed in those aspects as well. I'm more than just pride. Many aspects, as we all are, right, in our personal views. When Christina, who has been mentioned multiple times, her aim, not to speak for her, as an ally is to do the same, is to build a community in which people are welcome and comfortable and celebrated for whom they are, because as Cheryl Group has mentioned, not everyone is. I come from a community in which I wasn't always comfortable, so when I come here, I want to create that. The Alliance got together, quite literally just a few volunteers. We actually met over our lakefront park. It was the first time we kind of met and said, hey, what can we do? And we said, let's get together as volunteers and let's do what we can. It can start as picnics. We've rented pavilions and grilled some hot dogs and had some fun and played some cornhole just to have a safe place. It doesn't matter, I don't care if you're walking on the sidewalk and want a hot dog, like, let's just have a good conversation. Let's just have a good time. When applying for things, realized there could be some barriers if we're not a 501c3. That is when we were able to have this relationship with the center, Orlando, which also has a center in Kissimmee, so a little closer. And as that relationship allows us to, if someone needs their services, we're able to work with them and point them to established 501c3s, whether that's the center, Zebra Youth, or other organizations. Maybe not in our direct city limits, but close. Being in the city limits, our aim is to have events, as mentioned with Friendsgiving and barbecues and this Pride event, truly to create an approachable space. And that is for everyone. So again, I can't speak to the emotions in which maybe some things were said that we wish were approached differently, but I can stand here and say we're truly trying to make this a productive environment for all, an acceptable place for all. I hope we can make conversations productive towards that in the future with respect to each and every one of you. That is my goal as the citizen. That is my goal as a member of the St. Cloud Pride Alliance. We're appreciative of this support. Personally speaking, I'm not trying to not show appreciation for this, first and foremost. That is not my personal goal, and I hope we can keep the conversations productive in that regard. Happy to answer any questions on our plans for Proud in the Cloud or otherwise.
I'm going to go to her post. This is her article, Christina Bosnich. Is she the leader of this organization?
She helped found the Alliance, that volunteer group. Yes, she was a member of that.
What is her role right now, if you don't mind me asking? I'm not trying to drill you, but I'm trying to understand who we're actually helping out here.
You're helping a group?
No, who's the person filling these applications out?
It's Christina Bosnich.
Okay, thank you, because it's not an organization. It's a person.
It's a volunteer organization.
Well, it's a person.
It is a person.
When we require that they be 501c3s, it's a person. And I'll go into the grants in a second, but it says, this is the title on May 27th from Bosnich Photography. I don't know if she's doing this for promoting her business. I don't know. It says, undemocratic and discriminatory. St. Cloud City Council's proclamation halts silences LGBTQ plus community. And it just goes in there and just lashes out and includes a statement from Mr. Fletcher. And after, I don't remember when they got the grant. I believe that was back in November. The grants went out, maybe December. $1,250.
Yes, sir.
And then February, what's the rate of the discount? Mr. Davidoff? What are we looking at?
It was $2,364.
$2,364, and we're going to address that in a second, too, because I believe that the discount's much higher than that. Do you believe that we're discriminatory when the city financially supported this event?
No, sir. As stated.
And I think, this Ms. Bosanich, I don't think that she's a great voice for your community. I don't know that she's a member of your community. She may be running your organization. I mean,
I think to clarify, members of our community includes allyship, and she is an ally.
Yeah, I'd get somebody else, especially to fill out grant applications that, not just grant applications, but applications to rent a facility that the city of St. Cloud purchased. Did we spend $5.5 million, city manager, for the ranch? Thank you. $5.5 million. And when a council member says, we have an organization, and I didn't care what organization it was, it really didn't matter to me because I don't discriminate.
Right.
I don't.
Mm-hmm.
The problem, I felt like it was a slap in the face, it was a stab in the back. The gay community, if she represents you, the gay community stabbed us in the back. We have the right to vote any which way we want, and we financially supported this event because the committee, the EDAC committee, felt that it was a viable event to support. I wasn't on that. Obviously, the city council did not put those grants out there.
Mm-hmm.
I assume the city manager, it does say in the rules of that, city manager went through it and approved it. But we as a city council did give whatever it resulted out to be, $2,364.80 bare minimum. And then we get dragged through the mud by one of our own. Actually initiated by one of our own. And then we had somebody from the Orlando Sentinel drag his name into it, and it just, do you believe that we deserve that? This council does not deserve that.
I will speak for myself.
Yes,
I don't
ma'am.
aim to speak for anybody else, and I think that's a theme here today.
Yes,
I don't.
Thank you.
I previously emailed regarding the proclamation. Jennifer Paul, thank you for your reply. I stated in there that we were fiscally sponsored by LGBTQ, the Center 501c3. I'm not trying to showcase myself as anything other than a citizen who was part of a group who was trying to do as I mentioned. I stated and still believe, as I mentioned even earlier today in my moment to speak, want to work towards a productive movement forward. And that was even in regards to the proclamation. I am in operations. I am very passionate about very clear processes. That is what I get paid to do every single day. I am actually over rules. I'm a rule manager. So I relate to wanting very clear processes. I respect your roles as city council and staff to need to work towards trying to keep all of this organized and everyone to have their moment, every proclamation on that theme. Or on that subject.
And I'm not going to put all the blame on you. I'm not going to say this was all on you. I'm going to say the city of St. Cloud dropped the ball on vetting a lot of this because I don't think this Christina, she probably didn't go to school to run a nonprofit. Nonprofits are tough.
Yes.
Most people run nonprofits. I run nonprofit. I had to learn by, death by fire or whatever, learn trial by fire. It's tough. But I do know that I would never use a nonprofit's information, especially when we're trying to rent a facility, somebody's tax exemption forms or their certificate of insurance or the tax ID number. How come LGBTQ Center of Orlando didn't fill out the application and start the process? Because we didn't, I'm going to be honest with you, we did not give a discount to LGBTQ Center of Orlando. We gave it to whoever filled out that first application. That was the St. Cloud Pride Alliance, but wasn't even an organization. And then I'm going to say misrepresented some things on here. And I'm going to say misrepresented only because this was on January 14th is when they did the online application, but the email to the city manager asking for the reduction, if you don't mind me continuing. No,
Of
sorry.
course.
I didn't know if you had anything else to say.
Do you have any questions for me?
No, you're
Okay.
sit down. You can sit down. When she says that she's a nonprofit, I think she knows she's not a nonprofit, right? that Proud in the Cloud's not, or the St. Cloud Pride Alliance is not a nonprofit? Yeah, okay. And as I went through these, I saw this was sent to the city manager, copied to a Parks and Rec employee, but I didn't see it sent to anybody else. But then I see the deputy mayor respond to it, but I don't see it sent to him. And I don't know if he was blind copied, which happens. You probably saw it and didn't know if you were blind. It's the email chain where the request for the reduction in to use it at a rate as the lakefront.
Okay.
It's what got you to ask us for that discount. So, and you said, I'll check with this. I copied city manager. It's set by ordinance, which you're 100% correct on all that. That's February 4th, 120. February 4th, again, Christine, I assume it's Christine. It's Proud in the Cloud. I don't know who the person is. Emailing you and copying the city manager and the Parks and Rec employee. Thank you so much for the prompt response. We look forward to hearing back so we can move forward. Much appreciated. You responded back. I copied the wrong city manager email, FYI. And then city manager responds back. I am in receipt of your email based on council past direction not to waive fees. I believe I'll need to get council consensus at the February, you said February 7th, but there was no February 7th meeting, city council meeting. I will work with city staff to determine specifically the amount you're requesting. That was from the city manager to you, Councilmember Fletcher, the Proud in the Cloud, Scott Davidoff, and the Parks and Rec employee. You responded back. Veronica, I met with the folks in charge of the Proud in the Cloud event. They have decided to proceed with the ranch. I will be asking council during my time on Thursday if we can reduce fees to match that of the lakefront location because of the scheduled construction. If we can have a side-by-side comparison excluding police detail for the meeting, that would be great. All right, Proud in the Cloud comes back and says, hello, City of St. Cloud. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Fletcher, for updating our decision for the event. Yes, we would like to move forward with the ranch on June 21st. Any fee reductions would be greatly appreciated. We look forward to solidifying details on the event. And Sean, this is where I don't think you should have stepped in, and then you emailed Scott Davidoff, Deputy City Manager, copied City Manager, and Parks and Rec, and Proud in the Cloud, and you said, Scott, can staff hold the date? The group will be having the event with or without approval of the fee reduction at Thursday's City Council meeting. That way they can move forward with planning, knowing that they have a secured date. Parks and Rec comes back. Scott, you still want a comparison? I'm starting it now. Scott responds back, yes, please. We need an advance of tomorrow night's City Council meeting. Parks and Rec sends it back. Here you go. That's February 12th. That's the Wednesday, the day before the council meeting. And then you received it at that time, the day before the council meeting, and you sent it to the city manager at 4 o'clock before our meeting. And I'm not going to 100% blame you. I'm going to blame the city manager for not providing that as well. I believe, especially when you're asked for a fee reduction, I believe we all should have had that information. We should have had the backstory a week and a half of the back and forth and knowing, especially, and I went back and watched the meeting, and you read right from this comparison. I'm not going to blame you on this. I'm going to, city manager, I'm going to have to blame you on not providing this information. You knew.
I think it was handed out.
It wasn't handed to me.
No, it wasn't, but I have an
Thank
email
you.
from one of the
Thank
city
you.
council members telling me that he's going to proceed
I-
with the request, and I can't supersede
Okay.
my bosses on what they're requesting.
That is not how that works. There is an application that was already on file from a organization, or whatever they represented themselves to be, that I believe it should have been you requesting us, because that's getting involved with day-to-day at that point. Because there was already an application in, we can't get involved and ask for reductions on an application that's just been turned in. That's you to us. That's supposed to be the relationship. By the way, you work for us too. So I believe you should have mentioned, hey guys, this has been going on for a week and a half. Here's the deal. Here's the fees, because I believe there's also been some other misrepresentation on this. And, Scott the deputy city manager, he provided me a lot of information that I requested. I requested it from the city manager, I understand. Somebody sent it to Scott. I know the whole situation. Well, my concern is that, let me pull this one up right here. I'm so sorry. All right. The deputy city manager has been, and as you know, I mean, heck, I just got this timeline an hour before the meeting. And it says that there was a DRC meeting on the 8th of April. There was a check written on March 21st. None of this was in, how many times have I asked for all of the information on this? We have an event in 2 weeks, and 2 days ago, I couldn't even get an answer as to what they're even renting. Nobody knew if they're going inside. Finally, we got a site plan for it. I'm getting piecemealed information where they're saying there's 2,000 to 4,000 people coming out here on a $5.5 million asset of the city of St. Cloud, and nobody knows what's going on. Somebody knows, but our top leadership has no idea. And if you think, this isn't personal, but my job is to do my job. And it's to protect the assets of this city. Yours is the day-to-day, which this falls into there, and I think we did not agree to a lot of things that they think we agreed to do. Because if the check, if we're saying that the difference is $2,364.80, I don't think so. I think it's a lot more than that. But I don't think the numbers are being punched right. So by going off the information that the deputy city manager sent me, the ranch application was completed as part of the special event application on March 10th. Thank you for providing this today. The ranch application states any event over 150, I'm going to go back. The permit fee to rent the ranch is the lakefront is $250, and then you get down to the final number is $1,915.20 for their event. And you sold it to us by saying, hey, look, we're not going to need all this stuff, so it's going to be over here, and it's going to be half the price. So when I brought that up in my briefing the other day, I said, well, where does it say that they're renting the venue inside? You know, who's going to clean it up? How do we protect the asset?
Mayor.
I'm not done, I'm so sorry. Let me finish this thought, and then I'll let you speak. And so I went back and watched the video, and you said it's only half, which is why it was so easy for us to say, okay, if we caused the problem, it's only half. But now I'm seeing that this application was filled out. Well, when I read this, first of all, on a ranch rental fee, it says $3,750. That's for a resident using it Monday through Thursday for 150 guests or less. I'm going to go back to the February application where it says there's going to be 2,000 to 4,000 people. 2,000 to 4,000, you knew that, right? 2,000 to 4,000. This is 150 or less. I'm going to go to the next line. Any event over 150 will be subject to a special event permit fee of $315. And you know what, folks? I'd even be willing to give you the $315 discount as well, it'd be the pleasure of the board as well. But what I'm not willing to do, and one additional hourly staff person per 75 people at an hourly rate of $65 an hour during the scheduled event. Did you know that that language was in there? I shouldn't ask. I'm sorry. You didn't fill it out. To be honest, I don't know who filled it out. LGBTQ plus of Orlando filled it out. I think we definitely should have caught this because you want to know what those numbers add up to? 150 people. The non-resident fee is $5,565, not $3,750. So that number definitely goes up by about $2,000. Any event over 150, special event permit fee, and it's the one additional staff person per 75. Estimated attendance, according to their applications, 2,000 to 4,000 attendees. Hours of event, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., 13 hours. So if you take off the 150 attendees, that's covered by the $5,565. We were willing to eat that. Well, we were willing to eat it was half. The 3,750, turns out it's actually 5,565. So if you take 1,850 divided by the 75 people, one staff member per 75 people, that's 24.67 staff persons. Well, 6.67 of a staff person equals one. So 25 staff persons times 13 hours, 325 hours. 325 hours times $16 an hour is $21,125. That's bare minimum. That's at 2,000 attendees. I'm not going to run through all the numbers again, but I can tell you the high is at 4,000, which brings it to the 3,850, because we've already said we'll give the 150, the amount that allowed the 150. That's $43,940. Is this event going to be properly staffed by our staff in accordance with the contract that they signed? As it says right here, application completed as part of the special events application. Because this council did not agree to give up staff time. What we did agree was charge the same permit fee. That's fine, special event fee. Even that extra $350, I'd agree with that. But not the rest of it. We have to protect that asset. It doesn't matter what organization, because if we do it for this, we have to do it for everybody. So who's going to be out there? Are you going to be out there? Dan, are you going to be out there? I'm not going out there. And who's going to protect this asset? What staff members who's going to clean it up? What city council authorized giving a $21,000 bare minimum discount on this? We didn't. But yet, I'm seeing this timeline. Final meeting with applicant held to go over details. Final invoice for event provided in the amount of $2,742.10, which was paid. That's not the final. Who worked on this?
Parks and Recreation staff.
Parks and Rec. Who worked on this here in City Hall? That's who I care about. It's at the top.
The timeline?
Who up here on this floor worked on this when we have a $5.5 million asset and made that decision for the city council to reduce it by $21,125 bare minimum? Who up here made that decision?
So, Mayor, those numbers, that's the first time I've heard those numbers. I'd love to have staff have the opportunity to go through. Our Deputy City Manager has met with you multiple times this week, going over everything. We've met with our staff multiple times.
City Manager, I just read you a simple statement, a simple sentence. Additional hourly staff per 75 people, an hourly rate of $65 an hour during the scheduled event. This isn't rocket science. This is a basic thing right at the top. It's right there near these numbers.
So, Mayor, I don't have that paperwork.
And do you remember, I actually questioned. I said, what about all the things that are in the application for the ranch, and City Attorney, you were there, and I was told, oh, everything applies across the board, no matter what property it is. Well, they agreed to this. They agreed to pay this. I'm not anti this event. My job is to ensure that the tax dollars of our citizens are looked after in a proper manner. And right now, this city has failed them miserably on it. This is bad. This needs to be gone over. I don't know how you fix it. Everything from the get-go. And, going through the grant applications, I'm going to go through this really quick. Councilmember Fletcher, I know you had a comment that you had, but when I was trying to get through this, I don't know what department at City Hall is operating effectively or efficiently. Because I'm seeing procurement, I'm seeing Parks and Rec, I'm seeing economic development. Everything's failing. They're dropping the ball across the board. And we're up here meeting once a month, having to sort through this. I asked the question of you a month and a half ago about these grants. I say a month and a half, it may have been a month, I don't know. And I'm reading through this. And guys, I'm sorry about holding you up all night. I know everybody wants to go home, but, you know, this bothers me a lot. These decisions that I'm making up here are some of the biggest decisions of my life because it impacts almost 70,000 people. And that guy Skip who fishes off out of our lakes. Here's this is what we submit out. This is procurement. Procurement sends us out. This is the grant program, right? I assume procurement sent it out and then it's scored by economic development or run through there.
Scored by the Economic Development Advisory Committee.
Yeah. I'll tell you, when I first did my onboarding and you told me, well, EDAC's taking all the grants, that way it kind of keeps it off y'all's plate and it just gets handled properly. Never again. Your staff dropped the ball on all of this because I'm going to read this. Here's the Community Development Support Grant, Community Support Grant Program, and it's not necessarily any organization in particular. I'm going to read introduction. The Community Support Grant Program is designed to empower nonprofit organizations within the city of St. Cloud. Again, it states it again. Eligibility criteria. Now, I apply for grants all the time. RFPs, RFQs, grants, you name it, I've done it all. Eligibility criteria. If it says organizations must be registered nonprofit entities or 501c3 organizations based in and serving St. Cloud. Not just serving St. Cloud, but based in. And Dan, I don't know the legal definition of based, but I can tell you my interpretation, any sane person, but based means located in. That's their address. That's where they're located. The and serving St. Cloud, so it's got to fit both criteria. I'll agree. It serves St. Cloud. I'm sure it does great things with the event or at the other locations, the Garage Bar and everywhere else. I'm not opposed to any of that. With this, I'm saying we've got flaws. All right? This isn't just y'all. This is a mess all around the board. And Councilmember Fletcher, you brought it all to a boiling point and let it float to the top. I mean, I want to thank you because this is my job, is to fix my city I grew up in. We grew up in. You grew up here. You grew up here. Ken, we got to adopt you a long time ago. So if those are the rules, I think we need to apply those rules across the board with every organization. And so, and I'm not picking on you guys. I just think, I think this, whoever fills these applications out, I get rid of them. I get somebody else because they're creating these headaches for all of us. They're a part of it. Not going to tell it's 100%. Like I said, it's us too, this city. So I'm going to read their application. Company name, company, LGBT plus of Center of Orlando. Contact George Wallace. I assume George is the director or the chairman. Address, Monument Avenue. I'm going to skip down here. Physical address, 946 North Mills Avenue. I mean, if we put out our citizens' tax dollars, they should be to, if it were the Pride Alliance and they were located here and they were a nonprofit, okay. But they're their tax dollars. You've even said it up here. Like, we need to, we really need to watch this grant money. I know Councilmember Urban really has strong feelings towards that and really wants to look after the citizens' dollars when it comes to these grants. So it says Addendum 1 is confirmed by George Wallace. Addendum 2 confirmed by George Wallace. Addendum 3. So then as you go through, and I mean, it's like on every document that's filled out, they're all, and I'm not accusing you guys of trying to do anything malicious. I just think there's a lot of misrepresentation here. That, is the organization based in the city of St. Cloud? Yes. I don't think it is. The activity may be. I run a nonprofit, Museum of Military History in Kissimmee, right? And I apply through the United Arts. If it says must be located, must be based in Orange County, I can't apply for it. I don't even try. Because in my heart, I feel like I'm committing fraud. I would feel that way. Not that if I do it with intent, right? And I'm not saying that she's doing that, but I know this is a serious business when you are asking for public's money to support your organization and you want to be taken seriously. I'd walk a fine line with it, because as I scrolled through this application, it switched from LGBTQ plus of Orlando after the first maybe 15% of it, and it went right into St. Cloud Pride Alliance, and it's Proud in the Cloud event directly supports City of St. Cloud's vision. I mean, there's a lot of verbiage in here. Organizational capacity and project feasibility. There's a point system. The St. Cloud Pride Alliance possesses strong organizational capacity. Nowhere else in here does it mention LGBTQ Center of Orlando. And there's a lot of words, but it does actually mention it. And you know where it mentions it? It says, strong community partnerships. The Alliance maintains strong partnerships in local businesses, organizations, community members. These partnerships provide valuable resources. And let me read the one where it actually calls out resource sharing and cross-promotion. There's a lot of use of the word we, which implies the person filling it out, the organization they're representing. That's how I interpret it. We actively seek opportunities for resource sharing and cross-promotion with our partner organizations to maximize our reach and impact. For example, we collaborate with the center. I thought they were the center. Somebody else filled this out other than the center, because it started out as the center, and the addendums were agreed to by George Wallace of the center, and everything started off on the right track until, as far as I know, unless somebody typed in George Wallace's name, because there's their online the fields where somebody might have just typed in George Wallace and thinking that they're filling it out properly. But I believe they kind of lost focus and started misrepresenting themselves as a nonprofit themselves, because they say, it goes on and on about we're the St. Cloud Pride Alliance. St. Cloud Pride Alliance possesses strong organizational capacity and proven track record. Dedicated volunteers. We have a passionate team of volunteers and group leaders. That's why I asked if it's a group or members. Experienced leadership. The Alliance benefits from a founding board of directors. Who's the board? I mean, I assume it's y'all, but it's a committee, right? I'm passionate about this because this is our tax dollars. This is ours. And yes, ma'am, you can. Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate your commitment to making this process as clean as possible for our tax dollars, including my own. You'd mentioned when setting up a 501c3 yourself, it's trial by fire. Clearly, we're in that trial by fire right now. Speaking for myself and as a member of the Alliance, which, as mentioned, is a group, terminology, a committee, we have a lot to learn. Our goal is pure. It may come off as misrepresented, and I can understand when reading the terminology, or if we mistyped something, truly it is speaking on behalf of the Alliance, not malicious. It is not meant to take those tax dollars and use them incorrectly. I actually would say if that was reviewed, and I'm not placing any blame, we are here to learn as we're going. Speaking for myself, I have learned trial by fire since becoming part of this volunteer group right before our last Pride event. We've worked closely with the city. That's how we found out about the grant applications. That's how we found out about even what a special event application was. If we would have learned through that process that being fiscally sponsored by the center, Orlando, and Centric, who also has Centric Kissimmee, would not allow us to receive that grant money, we would have taken in that knowledge and learned from that, because we are learning as we go. Okay. We were not faced with that opportunity to learn. I think we may be facing with that opportunity to learn now. I think my request is, what can we do to move forward?
You should be filling these out. You're doing a good job. I'm serious. I think you.
And I appreciate
think you have
that.
a good heart.
I think the Alliance truly does all represent a pure heart, maybe with emotion and passion, but not to be disrespectful of any process, and especially our tax dollars. So I want to make sure.
And let me read
that's
this,
it.
this part really quick, because that's where it just blows my mind. They filled out LGBTQ Center of Orlando as the applicant, signed George's name, because when you type in somebody's name under agreeing to the addendum, that's a signature.
Mhm.
But then they put independent nonprofit status. We are actively working towards securing our own 501c3 nonprofit status.
Mhm.
This will provide us greater autonomy, fundraising capabilities, and opportunities to expand our services.
Mhm.
But I thought LGBTQ Center was a nonprofit.
They are.
All right.
They fiscally sponsor us. I think to speak from just hearing that sentence, I apologize, I did not
Yeah.
come prepared to speak out
You don't-
everything in there, but
It wasn't, I don't believe it was you that filled this out. That's,
our goal is currently, as we're learning as we go, to establish our own 501c3, so we're serving the citizens of St. Cloud. That is our scope and our reach, and we can educate about things outside of our city limits, like other 501c3s whom also provide services, maybe different services. And our goal is to act like a web, so that the services we provide maybe are a little different than the services they provide, and we're all working together to create a better community. We were not ready prior to our last Pride event for that. The city worked with us, thankfully, and we got the ranch, or the lakefront. We found out about the grant. We moved into 2025, excited to continue that partnership, move forward with the grant, using the center, which we were fiscally sponsored for the 2024 event as well. Frankly, I wish this was an opportunity to learn last year, because we wouldn't have repeated.
did you guys have the event last year?
We did at the lakefront.
Okay. It was the year before that it wasn't?
It wasn't, we
I
did not
had
have
read
one in
somewhere that
2023.
there was a
We
year
had
that it
we had First Proud in the Cloud in partnership with the city was at the lakefront last year. And then this is our second annual coming up. As I mentioned, passionate about operations, I'm passionate about rules, I'm passionate about things being clear. I
And that's why
depend on this
I'm
council
bringing
to
everything up.
represent the entire city. I wish we had the opportunity to learn these moments that you're speaking last year, and we didn't. We moved into this year. We followed the process, which we thought was accurate. I understand that we have a lot to learn, it sounds like. I want to move forward. I ask what that looks like.
But you know how I even got into looking at it is when they trashed us. They trashed us. Threw mud at us when they got a grant. They got, I don't even know what the discount they're getting over here.
Yeah.
When I say they,
I mean, I represent
but who
the-
filled this
the
out and
organization.
who organized it? The person, and I don't know whose emails these are. Who runs the Proud in the Cloud at
The volunteer group has access to that email.
So these
Which
are more than
including
one
myself.
person responding and answering and sending emails? To the
As
city
a
manager?
volunteer group, we try to divide and conquer, as you will, in terms of roles and things that we can kind of be over, and help organize our efforts as we grow. So yes, multiple people have access to that email. We do have this fee, you know, we're also paying for a stage and bleachers, and that had its own, I don't have it in front of me, but its own itemized invoice from Parks and Recreation. Like, we are truly trying to commit to everything given to us by the city that says, in order to do this event in St. Cloud, these are the things we need you to do. We are trying to meet every one of those requirements, truly. If any part of our application process, and I'll speak for us as a group, right, regardless of who filled it out, has made that come across in any way other than truthful and wanting to provide something to the city, the legalities around Kissimmee or LGBTQ Center Orlando and Kissimmee, I welcome that conversation. I want to have that conversation so we can figure out how to move forward. But that was not our intention.
It would have been a lot easier, I'm not going to talk about you on this. It would have been a lot easier if the person who prepared this stuff and did a horrible job preparing this, that she is a horrible voice for y'all, or person out there doing it. There's an Amber Alert, I'm sorry. If she didn't go out there bashing us, and then have Scott Maxwell out there in the paper writing an opinion, and I'm not just blaming her, Councilmember Fletcher, God dang it, man, I'm so disappointed in you on that. I don't know how you build that trust back with us, at least with me. I've never seen anything like it, but I had to let that out. It's not just you guys. I'm disappointed in our staff. I'm disappointed in our city manager on this one. Veronica, this is a big asset we have out there. It's very important.
Can I address that, Mayor?
You absolutely can.
One of the first things that, when you came on the city council, I told the city council was that I felt that our special event process was lacking. And I told you that the new deputy city manager was starting in November, and his first task was going to be to start reworking the entire process, from the application process all the way through. And at the last city council meeting, we brought forward the new ordinance on how we're dealing with special events. A few meetings before that, we brought forward the updated fees. So I find that, we have great staff in the city of St. Cloud.
Oh, we have amazing staff. Don't blame staff. Listen.
I was not blaming
City
staff,
manager,
sir.
no,
I was
city
not
manager,
blaming staff.
I'm blaming you on this one. I am blaming you on this one.
I'll
Don't
take
blame
the
staff.
blame. I'll take the blame.
Okay.
Listen,
hold on.
Okay.
The reason, you're talking about 8 months ago almost, 7 months ago. You're telling me that between you and Scott can't read a sentence? You're assuming responsibility for it. That one sentence on the ranch application, because I'm just now getting this information an hour before the meeting, this timeline. And Scott, I'm a lot of these dates, where did all this information come from an hour before? This is the fourth round of information.
So again.
Hold on, I'm asking the deputy city manager.
Parks and
Can you come up,
Recreation
please?
director's mother is in hospice. We've been trying to work with our staff while we don't have our director. And earlier this week, the deputy city manager was asked to go get the entire file because you were asking for additional information.
I asked for everything a couple weeks ago. And I understand it's been piecemealed, but that's my problem with it. Scott, I'm sorry, you can sit down. Go ahead. That's my problem with the whole situation. The whole process is we have a $5.5 million asset out there, and we have when was the last time this city hosted a 2,000 to 4,000 person event on that piece of property? Ever?
I can't say that we ever have.
Right. Those would be some large weddings. So this one, they filled this application out in January and then in February. And then everything, if these dates are accurate, they did everything right in this process. The city did everything wrong because we didn't know up from down 2 days ago. Nobody knew, and I just had to keep asking questions. My problem isn't just this. My problem is the reduction and how you orchestrated that with the Councilmember Fletcher and didn't provide all of that information to us. Yes, he can, if he wanted to make the request, if that's what it was, but you should have provided all of that to us, that there was a request that was brought in from somebody who had submitted an application. You didn't say one word about it. You didn't bring it up. It acted like it was organic, like it was just came up.
Actually, my response at the end of that meeting was that I don't have the authority to do those waivers, and it's in these instances like this, but.
I'm looking for a leader in this city. I don't want a response. I want somebody, we're the ones responsible for this. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want somebody to use him to bring it up so it covers you, and then you're going to respond, and we're sitting here scratching our heads. What did we just agree to?
That's really unfair, Mayor.
You can say that all you want.
Every council member
City
has
manager?
pet projects. Earlier tonight, we heard that the council member Urban was asking for Michigan Avenue because every council member has pet projects. You come to me and you ask me.
Are you saying this is Councilmember Fletcher's pet project? Is he involved in this?
I would say, yeah, he has been involved with this project from day one. Absolutely.
Okay. So when somebody outside of him makes the request directly to you, the request went to you, the city manager. You should have asked us in that meeting.
But I never would have asked if I knew it wasn't Councilman Fletcher's.
It doesn't matter.
Project.
It's not his project. It is not his project.
I wouldn't have
Who's-
come for the waiver
City manager?
if it wasn't his.
All you're doing is making
project.
excuses.
No, I'm not.
You were making
I'm
excu-
explaining. I'm
Veronica?
explaining the situation, and I'm proud of what we've done. And I don't think there's anything that is. If we want to nitpick everything that the city has done, the city's working on, that we can find tons of errors, but we do great things.
We're not nitpicking, city manager.
Okay.
This is a 2,000 to 4,000 person event. Do they have the police set up already? Is everybody finally squared away? Have they been squared away? Because I just heard the DRC just happened 2 days ago, but apparently I just see on the list now it's been in April.
We had a meeting with the fire chief, the police, and project.
Who?
Mayor, if I could, as an application comes in, the special events staff works very closely with all the applicants. They do a lot of the legwork beforehand, before the DRC meetings, so that all of that can be presented very clearly to the applicant and all the relevant departments. That's the purpose for the DRC meeting. So there were multiple meetings that were held prior to the DRC meeting, or excuse me, phone calls that were held, emails, most likely that are held. This is typical process that goes through with all special events, because as an event comes in, it is not very clear because the applicants don't understand layouts or security or things of that nature. So through the DRC process, all of police, fire, all of those departments are together. They assess the event, they assess what the crowd is, what everything is that's planned, and then they make that clear during that DRC process. So the event organizer, whoever the event is, whatever the event is, whether it's an event that has 50 people or 50,000 people, that process would be the same. So they know what the staff, the police department, the fire department, lets them know what they are required to have, and the applicant then has to, and there are times where they'll go through that process and an applicant may say, you know what, that's a little too rich for our blood, we're not going to hold that event. So all of that is already agreed to.
How many people exactly are going to?
Without having.
How do we collect at this? I mean, it's a simple sentence. It's the first sentence of the application. How do we collect if we don't know? How do we ensure that they pay 100% up front, 30 days in advance, if we don't know?
All staffing fees are paid post-event because the event could have a rain out.
$21,000?
I'm not sure where the $21,000.
Read the application. We did not agree, this city council did not agree to that, Scott.
Again, I
know,
can't
but
speak.
this is your project, and you've been on the job a month before me, and I'm not putting all the blame on you, all right? I don't buy that excuse. Don't give me that one. This is a simple sentence. You sent it to me, I caught it right away, I'm like, nobody else sees that? We did not give that discount.
Mayor, again, with all due respect, I don't have that information from the Parks and Recreation staff. I already have scheduled a meeting with them.
You sent this to me. You sent this to me.
I understand. That came from the Parks and Recreation
And
staff
you
on
didn't
what those
catch
numbers
that?
are.
You didn't catch that sentence.
Which sentence are you referring to?
The very first sentence, any staff, any event, 150 will be, over 150 will be subject to a special event permit fee of $315 and one additional hourly staff person per 75 people, an hourly rate of $65 an hour during the scheduled event. I don't think we add those additional staff person per 75 just for giggles. I think it's to protect our asset. I believe that to be true.
Okay.
And last I checked, I think I'm the mayor, and I think my beliefs mean something here. I don't know. Maybe city manager doesn't believe so, but I believe so. I said maybe. I'm not happy with you right now, Veronica. You're not giving me answers, and we have, you smirk about it. This is serious.
I'm not smirking.
You've signed us up, because I see they've got a final payment that's been agreed to by staff of $21,000 minimum. I mean, I see that on the timeline. And I think that's a large amount. I don't know that you guys could do that. It's not.
Again, I'm not sure where the
I blame us.
$21,000 fee is that you're referring to.
That sentence says, I'm going to read it again, Scott. It says, Any event over 150, first of all, this $337.50 for a resident to use it between Monday and Thursday, it's actually a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event, which is non-resident, $5,565, and we're willing to give that discount. We all agreed to that and got bashed in the papers and by our council member and everybody else in the world, because, we're just too nice. But this sentence says, one additional hourly staff person per 75 people, an hourly rate of $65 an hour during the scheduled event. In my briefing, and you remember, Scott, 2 days ago, who's cleaning this place up? If they're going inside, and you told me there's going to be queens and this and that, so they're having full access. We're granting them full access. So there's nothing on here that we're saying they can't use. And it says on this timeline, ranch application completed as part of the special event application. Application initial, staff initial. Did staff initial that? This is a blank one. Did staff initial, did y'all do the application, the ranch application? It says you did on a timeline. I don't have it. I've requested
Yes, sir. It
everything,
was.
but they don't give me everything that I asked for.
That was provided to you
No,
today.
no, you gave me a timeline. You didn't give me the actual application. I want every single document, Scott, and I don't know how many times I have to ask for it. This is not a game. I work
Yes, sir.
for the people. You work for the city manager. The city manager works for us. There is a pecking order here. I answer to 68,000 plus people. And they, trust me, they ridicule me just like they ridicule anybody else. And I got hit on both sides by not, when we had somebody opposing the Pride in the Cloud event. We got attacked because we didn't clap for them or, we showed no emotion. We give the public their opportunity to speak and we treat them all fairly, despite what others say. Your friends, you. I'm sorry, Sean, I'm pissed. I'm not letting it go. We'll move on with this meeting. I appreciate everything. Thank you, Sharon, for getting up and speaking. Councilmember, Commissioner Grebe, you have cleared the air on a lot of this. I don't blame you. I don't. I believe your organization has good intentions. I believe you all, I think you're about love. I can't, how can I blame that? What's there not like about that, right? What I don't like is where it says this person, the authorized representative, Christina Bozanich, saying hateful things towards us. What about inclusion? That's what man, I would dump her. I'd dump her. Because she does not represent what I believe what you say you represent. Love, right? I don't believe the hate that was spread from this side, not you. I don't believe that's what your organization represents. I don't think you have a good voice up here. Or we wouldn't be talking about this for the last hour and a half. I wouldn't have had to look through all this. Imagine what I'm not seeing in this city. I'm not blaming you. I'm saying we have a flawed process. I'm not blaming staff in the departments. I'm blaming the departments themselves. You're the leader of every single department, and that's the problem. When I told you where departments don't answer directly to you and you have no idea what's going on, that's the problem, right here. That's a $21,000 loss, minimum, because we did not agree to that. I'm done. Thank you very much for attending tonight, and please meet with the staff. Thank you for completing the whole process. We're going to go ahead and move on with the rest of the agenda here. And now for our information section, report section, the workshop for Friday, June 13th, 2025 has been rescheduled to Thursday, June 26th, 2025. Wednesday, June 18th, 2025, City Council workshop, 9 a.m. at City Hall, Community Development Conference Room. Thursday, June 19th, 2025, city offices closed in observance of Juneteenth holiday. Friday, July 4th, 2025, city offices are closed in observance of the July 4th holiday. Thursday, July 10th, 2025, City Council meeting, 6:30 p.m. at City Hall Council Chambers. This meeting is adjourned.